Friends, if you're looking for real old school laughs, you're in for a treat because we've got them right here. Flip City Magazine. Remember Mad Magazine? Then it went woke? Well, don't worry. Flip City has no chance of going woke. That's right. 4 times a year, you'll get an actual printed magazine full of jokes, stories, comics, and more, all about today's pop culture, entertainment, and woke politics. Flip City takes terrible entertainment trends we love to hate with hilarious parodies of Lord of the Rings, Stranger Things, The Walking Dead, Star Trek, Hunters, and more. Trust me when I say there is nothing else like Flip City on the market. So subscribe today. It will be delivered in print, or you can even get it digitally if you're one of those wacky Zoomers. Either way, follow our link and sign up today, and if you put in midnight, you get an extra 10% off. Check out Flip City Magazine today. Good morning, it's Hump Day. How's everybody doing out there in YouTube land? I'm Tom Connors. With me is the boss man, Andre. How are you doing this morning?
Greetings, everyone. I'm doing excellent. So glad to be here with this amazing panel. And we got some very cool topics to talk about. Cool. We got some very intriguing topics to talk about with you all today.
I don't know. I might still rather talk about toppings. But anyway, we got Culture Casino here. How are you doing?
I'm great. I like chocolate sprinkles. I think a little bit of chocolate fudge sometimes. I mean, those are some good toppings.
Indeed. Also joining us, we have Script Doctor from the Great White North. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Happy to be here.
Ooh, you're loud.
Yeah, a little hot. But I think it'll even out once you start talking.
All right.
Also have joining us Mr. Paul Chato. How are you doing?
I'm doing just dandy. Actually, I like the hyperbole of Andre's intro. It immediately reminds me of the opening piece of text that Entertainment Weekly had for the latest Marvels movie. We should read that text if you want hyperbole.
You know, maybe they listen to me and they want it from me.
Because I mean, you said what a great panel, and it's going to be a great show. And I went, "Whoa, the truth in advertising, man! There needs to be some kind of flashing on here." No, well, except for culture. Culture is brilliant.
Wow, put me on the spot. Holy cow! I don't know if I can be engaging in that kind of a manner.
You'll have to prove it now. So yes, hello everyone. Nice to be here on this Wednesday. It's beautiful here in Toronto. The weather's gorgeous, and I have to do this in my basement. I'm so joyful.
This is a life you've chosen.
Yes. Yeah, sequester yourself during good weather.
Don't blame us for your bad life choices.
Hey, listen, considering the amount of good weather we have up here, and I'm doing this. This is the kind of dedication both Script and I are providing.
Well, you guys can keep your weather.
Pardon me?
Quit sending the smoke down here.
Is it still smoking? I thought it was pretty much done.
I haven't seen any of it. So
No. I think you're just next to a weed house there, Tom.
No, that would be amazing.
Yeah, no, because all the smoke, it went down to the States, and also it came across the Atlantic, and some of it even hit Europe.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, well, the volcanoes do that too. I mean,
I know. Let's blame it on Iceland.
Blame it on the air patterns up in the stratosphere.
Yeah.
Damn
air patterns in the stratosphere.
Damn air patterns.
Likely excuse.
Yeah, no one talks about air patterns. They get off easy.
We need to release some.
We all know what you Canadians are up to. You're trying to smoke us all out.
We should release some more aerosol gases, like show the heavens.
Yeah, that's what we need to do.
Like, this will keep all of those foreigners out, eh?
good.
We'll just create a smoke screen, eh? Plus, it'll make the maple syrup all smoky.
Well, smoky maple syrup is okay. Well, we like smoked bacon. Maybe
You
that's
guys
what's
make
happening.
everything smoky.
Everything smoked. Smoked bacon is great.
Smoke peppered maple bacon.
Ooh,
Yeah.
yeah,
Say
that's
that
yeah, that sounds
5
good.
times
With
fast.
on top of poutine.
On top of what?
Smoked
Poutine.
poutine. You know what poutine is, don't you, Tom?
I do. I was being a shithead
Oh, okay.
because you said poo.
Welcome to Tom's grade 4 class.
I need to taste one of these poutine things one of these days.
Oh, it is good. Oh man,
It's
you get
addictive.
the real stuff. It's got to be chicken fat. It can't be just regular beef fat or whatever. It's got to be chicken grease on top of the fries with the curd. Wow, that is good.
Yeah, it's introducing an almost immediate heart attack in several cases.
Damn, but what a way to go.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll die younger, but at least you'll die happy.
Die happy.
I mean, that is if you like, again, if you're a Canadian who plays a lot of hockey, you kind of burn it off. So
Oh,
you
yeah,
don't really
for
have to
sure.
worry. But
Basically, up there, you guys they eat so much poutine in Canada. If they did a movie, like Die Hard, it would be like more like Die Hard Arteries or whatever.
The thing is, in the wintertime, the poutine gravy solidifies much faster.
Diarteries.
I had a joke there and I fucked it up. Don't worry about
Kind
it.
of. I thought you were heading.
I had it and then I fucked it up because I got distracted. It's all good. We got super chats here though. Let's do some of those. STR Red Wolf says, with more trailers out, I see the Barbie movie say, I'm subverting expectations and show Phantom Menace style CGI errors. That's worrying me. I think only proper word of mouth will show if the movie is for me or for everybody. Oh, I didn't see I didn't CGI errors. Okay.
I haven't seen anything of that yet.
Yeah, I didn't notice that. Yeah.
Or people aren't talking about it.
Yeah. Well, I've heard just more back and forth about what the movie's actually about, what the movie actually means, and the messaging and all this other business. So who knows? We're going to talk a little bit about that. We got Dr. Longdongler here, who's been here for 20 months at the Midnighter level. Thank you so much, Dr. Longdongler. We got Pete Dencat, who's been here for 9 months at the Edgelord level and says regarding He-Man, the House of Mouse is up to its ears in debt, almost $100 billion. So I honestly can't see them buying anything soon. I'm not sure that was. I'm not sure the connection there is Disney talking about buying He-Man.
No, that may have been me because I was like basically saying in the thumbnail I think of something. So if you look at the thumbnail, I basically put like, well, Disney and Netflix are competing for the failure right now because none of them can do anything. You have like Disney is failing with literally everything, and most notably and most recently with Snow White and the 7 Days, while Netflix once again messed up He-Man. So just a fail across the board, isn't it?
No, in fact, I'd argue they didn't mess up He-Man. In fact, the best thing they could ever do was to cancel this movie.
We did kind of dodge a bullet there, and we will get into exactly why that was.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we've got Dr. Longdongler sending in a super sticker. It's a thumbs up. Hit that thumbs up if you haven't already. And what's your first thought agrees. You should hit that thumbs up as well. Kenneth LaRock says, sorry, but this will be the last one for a while. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Kenneth. Hopefully everything's okay in your life there, buddy. Take care of yourself and reach out to me in the chat and let me know what's up if everything's all right. Coach O'Dragon has also been a member for 8 months at the Midnighter level. Thank you so much. SDR Red Wolf says, to the Canadians, tell those hosers you're smoking your bacon wrong, eh?
Yeah.
Mm.
Yep.
You can't make fat back like that.
Bacon.
Cosmic Castaway says, Chato, I would watch Sicario 3 Snow White. Ooh.
Yeah. That was the basis of my reimagined Snow White. Was Snow White as Sicario, that Narcos, because I thought
that was hilarious.
It's not her name. Snow White isn't her name. That's the stuff she's selling, man. That's
at this point it gotta be, because that's what I said. It's like, what do they think? Her last name is White or something, and this is just
it's what's his name, White from
it's like
Walter
White. Or if you go into the comic books, there's a character named China White who is an enemy of Green Arrow.
I was actually trying to work in a Wendy White gag in my video, but I thought, okay, now that's stretching it. I don't think anyone is going to make.
Nobody would get that one.
No, I know.
Yeah. No, but yeah, that's Yeah, this whole thing that's just strange.
Yeah, I don't personally. I don't understand the opprobrium that's being directed towards this Snow White. Who cares?
I think the two main points are this. Like I was just joking, and you used as a joke in your video. It's not like her last name is White or something, and her first name's Snow. Snow White is her name because her skin was as white as snow.
Yeah, that's
right. It's
Mother's Grimm description.
Exactly. So it's kind of going against the whole idea of who she is. The other side of it is the whole fuss and hubbub about, little people. And then all of a sudden people are seeing this shit and they're like, I've seen, better high school productions than this.
Well, there's one argument I heard on my channel was, notwithstanding the fact there have been many different versions of this story because it's free for anyone to use. It's no copyright. People are just assuming that Disney should be doing a shot-for-shot remake. If they're going to do a live version, it should be a shot-for-shot of their 1937 version, which I don't understand the logic of that. They can do whatever the frick they want with this thing.
I can see Disnerds wanting that, but I don't understand.
Disnerds, that's a good.
Like, here's my whole thing is, and this is why, I just don't understand this, because when they said, we're not going to have dwarves in the movie, we're going to have little creatures or little magic.
We're going to have creatures, magical creatures.
My first thought was they're just going to do 3D CGI animated versions of the original, Seven Dwarfs from, Sleepy, Dopey, Doc, all that stuff. Because it would make sense, because that's kind of what Disney is doing, right? Is repackaging and selling what made their versions unique. Well, what made their version of Snow White unique was the dwarves, right? They actually gave them names, gave them personalities, all that kind of business.
Yeah, that was really their innovation from the Brothers Grimm version.
What I'm saying. So, and that's the one thing I'm not seeing here. So it's like, so what about this is screaming Disney's Snow White other than the dress? Right? Like, I just don't get it.
Well, that's a good point.
At least with Pinocchio, as bad as it was, I didn't watch it, but the CGI Pinocchio looked exactly like the 1930s Pinocchio did, right? Like, so they at least got that part right, I guess. I mean, that's my point, is like, I don't understand why they're going to this extreme. I think they could find a happy medium in a way that I think Jungle Book was about the happiest medium they could find. It evoked the original, but yet it had a bunch of original stuff in it that wasn't in the other version that made it its own. Ever since then, they just haven't been able to find that balance, I think. I would
also say Maleficent. Maleficent was really, really good because it was like the inversion of the original story. So it was true to it, but it reframed it and was told it from a different angle. So
I don't know about it being true to it, but
in retrospect, was it woke? Yeah, hell yeah, it was. But at the time, I thought it was an inventive retelling.
I didn't think it was so inventing because it's basically just the Wicked effect. Like, Maleficent is really like just them trying to put the Wicked idea into Sleeping Beauty, and it's like it didn't quite work for me. Because I've seen Sleeping Beauty, at least with the Wizard of Oz, there's enough room for interpretation there to switch around and see how things could be from another angle. With Sleeping Beauty, it's really difficult for me to see Maleficent, a bitch who turns into a fucking dragon at the end of Sleeping Beauty, is somehow the good guy here. Right? That's a big difference. I can see where Glenda, the quote unquote good witch, is actually the bad witch, because that bitch sends Dorothy on a fucking wild goose chase through Oz when all she had to do is say, tap your heels together, you can go home. And she used the bitch to kill her sisters.
I don't disagree, but still I think it was an invented.
So there's room for interpretation, but I get what you're saying too, but at the same time, I'm just like, nah, anyway, doesn't matter. David Glenn says, Paul, it's okay to say schmaltz. I know what you mean. You're muted, Paul, for some reason.
There we go. Yes. Yeah, there's schmaltz is one of the many great Yiddish words out there that everyone should know, including schwitz. Schwitz is another fantastic Yiddish word.
Okay, give us a brief Yiddish course. What does schmaltz and schmitz?
Well, schmaltz
and schmitz mean?
Well, schmaltz is very onomatopoeia. I mean, you can guess it's old style. That's schmaltz. It's very schmaltzy. It's like, your grandmother would like it. It's got doilies all over it. It's very schmaltzy. Served Hamburger served on doilies. A schwitz is a sauna. It's like, it's hot out here. I'm having a schwitz. It's so hot. I'm schwitzing.
It's wet. It's sweaty.
It's wet. Yeah.
Yes.
It's I'm dripping with sweat. I'm schwitzing out here.
Yeah.
So no,
it's not very kosher.
It's totally kosher. Schwitzing. You kidding?
Yeah. Salty. Captain Phantom Nerd is here, and he's the reason I've got to go see the Barbie movie tomorrow. And culture as well. But you're going to the Dream House.
No,
you're going all out.
I'm going to the Barbie Beach Bash.
Oh, the Beach Bash. That's
I'll see if I can't see Barbie tomorrow myself.
Oh, boy. Let me tell you. I know we'll talk about it, but it doesn't sound good.
I'm afraid to go see it. I was interested, and now I'm not.
Yeah.
It's always good when people have that sensation leading up to opening weekend, isn't it?
Yeah, they really had me with the first couple of trailers.
I know, me too.
And then, hold on. And then,
bless you.
And then, thank you. And then the truth comes out.
Well, do we really know the truth yet? That's the only thing. I mean, I'm not saying it's not looking dire, but I mean, could there be something going on here where people are trying to read more into this thing than there really is? And again, we got to remember, we're talking about the frickin' Barbie movie here. Like, that's the other thing, is people could be interpreting this in ways, because as we've said, Barbie has always like been a feminist icon. Her whole point is you could be what you want to be. I have a hard time believing at the end of this movie, because that's the thing people are really going around in their big thing, is they think that Ken is the villain in the movie.
Oh, well, men are villain in the movie.
Men are villain in the movie, and then there's other people saying that Ken will end up ultimately being the villain in the movie, and that's what's going to ruin it all. But I don't see how that can be. I can't see Mattel abiding by them making Ken the bad guy. At the end of this movie, it has to be a way where it'll be like, obviously Ken and Barbie get back together in some way. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they're Ken and Barbie. They have to be together.
Well, my understanding is that whatever feminism could be read into the original Barbie, they have basically said that was all bad feminism and wrong. That's the one concern I have based on the reviews I have seen. That whatever good you thought Barbie was actually doing by showing astronaut Barbie, accountant Barbie, child smuggler Barbie, just so you know that she was involved in many things that men can do also, that they're saying that was false feminism and was a whole lot of bullshit, which,
this is my worry.
That's my worry. I think that's an unfair thing to do to Barbie. But again, I didn't make the movie and I didn't see it, and I'm just going by the bunch of reviews I've already seen. So
it will be very interesting to see.
And we'll see what the box office is, right? That's in the end, as a former executive, ultimately that's all I care about. I don't care if the movie is shit or
well, and this movie is actually shaping up to be possibly one of the biggest movies of the year.
No.
It is actually pacing with Avatar as far as ticket sales,
wow.
I guess, at this point.
Mostly women.
And that's just it.
Women will drag their boyfriends.
Yep.
I mean, I'm not saying if there is certain things in this movie, but like, are there people misinterpreting what a movie made for a woman, actual woman, as just, are they misinterpreting it as woke?
No.
Well, I'm thinking that no men should be allowed.
I love that you're so sure, culture.
No men should be allowed to review this movie.
Well, I am. I'm dressing the part too. I'm gonna wear a pink shirt to this thing. I'm gonna wear pink shirt, white shorts to this thing. I might even find a visor, rock a visor, Ken style. We'll see.
Hey, I like it.
But
I don't know. All I see is a lot of guys who really want this movie to be woke. That's what I see, to be honest with you. But that's just me.
What about people who've already seen it that are saying it's
if it's all these things and they are the dumbest shits in the world, and Mattel lied.
But
Yeah.
also, I don't think it's unfair to say that many women are going to look at this movie completely differently from men. And
that's what I'm trying to say.
They're going to pick up on cues that are important to them. Bless their hearts. I mean, this looks to me like the female version of Crocodile Dundee. Where
we shall see. That's the beauty. We will know. We will in 24 hours. We will.
And
know.
I also see a bunch of people like, "Oh, you didn't read the reviews. Why are we all of a sudden listening to reviews? We have not trusted any reviews for the last 5 years. All of a sudden, we're trusting reviews now."
Well,
there's one movie I do not trust reviews for.
I'm just
this one. This one I want to see for myself, and I want to be able to myself pick up on the subtext, see what is there. Maybe some things go over my head, but I want to be able to see and assess. Is this a movie that my daughter that I will be happy for my daughter to see? I will see it from that point of view.
You know what? I'm going to get my daughter to review it.
Yeah, or is this some Hollywood madwoman? Because this is my issue with Greta Gerwig. Greta Gerwig, as Script Doctor has pointed out, comes from Hollywood. She's raised in Hollywood. This does not mean that she's a bad filmmaker. Many great filmmakers comes from Hollywood, but it does mean that she is a woman who is raised in a cult. She is raised in the equivalent of North Korea. She is raised in a bubble. She knows nothing of the real world. She has no life experience outside of her bubble. Everything she tries to send some kind of a message. She's not fit to educate anyone on anything.
That's an interesting point. She's a talented filmmaker, though.
Yeah,
I'm not disputing this. I'm not disputing that she's a talented filmmaker, but I am questioning that she has the life experience necessary to impart any kind of life knowledge or anything like this to anyone. I especially do not trust her with imparting any kind of message into something that children will be watching, specifically because she grew up in Hollywood. If she came from there and she had lived abroad, if she's traveled the world, she has maybe done something to change her point of view, that would be a completely different matter. But I do not trust the life experience of a young director grown up in Hollywood. You might as well have grown up in North Korea.
That's a really good observation. I like the idea of Hollywood being North Korea. That's great.
And I'm not trying to be a dig about her. I'm just saying, like, I know this much. I am not the person this movie was made for.
Right.
Most of the people I see bitching are not the people that this movie was made for.
Exactly.
Right? But the people this movie was made for, I am in a group with, and they have been waiting for this. They've been talking about this. Mags is one of them. They're getting their nails done. They've got shirts and everything. They're ready for this movie. They are ready to go out and have a great fucking time, because I think
they will love it.
This is they feel like there's actually been a movie made for them for the first time in God knows how long.
Well, I really hope this movie is
going I'm going to trust their opinions before I trust anybody else's.
Absolutely.
Okay. And one of the things that you learn when you're writing and performing, and we can deconstruct whether it's a feminist this or whatever, the normies out there glom onto the premise of something, and then you just have to, in the simplest ways, paint that premise out onto the canvas. It doesn't have to be perfect. There are an awful lot of perfect movies out there with fantastic casting, beautifully written dialogue that has died. I have learned this lesson many times, is that the premise that fits into people's minds like one of those songs, like earwigs. What do they call them? The
earworms.
Earworms has a much bigger effect than all the plans that you can possibly make for a movie. So if this has fit into the zeitgeist of an audience, it doesn't matter if it's right or perfect. It just needs to hit enough of the correct notes along the way, and it will be a big hit.
Okay. How many times in a film should you use the word patriarchy?
Well, that could be a problem.
Comedically, or is it preachy? That's the problem.
Well, this film, narratively, supposedly, every once in a while, once it gets going, and again, this is from multiple reviews now that I've read.
It actually uses the term?
Oh, yeah, 10 times.
Yeah.
10 times? Yeah. So they're trying to, like, what, reduce its meaning?
I don't know, but I know this, that every time the film gets any kind of momentum, and this I've now seen related in multiple different ways and from multiple different critics, every time it gets momentum, it starts into preach mode and kills all the momentum the film has. There's a lot of tell, not a lot of show. So I'm going to see it. I'm going in with as open a mind as possible, but everything that is coming out is confirming it, including Grace Randolph's idiocy, which, wow. Anyway.
Well, I know Nina has a detector for woke shit like you wouldn't believe. She sniffs it out like a bloodhound. So if anybody is going to call it out, it's going to be Nina. And I see Mags in the chat. She says the same thing. I know these women will be very honest about it, because if they're disappointed, they're going to let you know. Yeah. And that's who I care about and how they feel about this. Because this, like I said, this movie ain't made for me. I've got zero invested in this. I'm invested in their investment because I've seen them so excited in the last couple months here since we first got that first trailer. So we'll have to wait and see what they think, and then I'll judge it on that. And plus seeing it myself because I have to.
Well, as Andre said, do we need another preachy movie of Hollywood preaching to the rest of the United States what their morals should be?
Rest of the world. That's what makes it even worse. You're not to preach. Yeah. You're preaching to a worldwide audience, and for a young director like Greta Gerwig, who knows nothing of the world, to just do it from an ideological point of view. I mean, what better textbook example of propaganda can you think of?
And how many? I would say there's a vastly greater number of middle-aged women with their original Barbies in Iowa than in any of the cities.
Well, and people forget that Barbie doesn't have just a big female audience; it has a big gay audience.
It does, yeah.
Which so they probably love this.
You got to remember they're playing it toward. And look, I've seen a lot of guys say they already made a Barbie movie. It was called Legally Blonde. How do you consider that a Barbie movie? That bitch is dumb as a box of rocks.
I love that movie.
I'm not saying it's a bad movie, but how is it a Barbie movie that has nothing to do with Barbie? And if anything, it's an anti-Barbie movie because Barbie can be anything and she's smart. The chick in that works or becomes a smart person and by the end of the film. That's not how she is at the beginning. That I don't see as Barbie.
Well, the thing is, the difference is that with Legally Blonde, it's a woman who applies herself to the things that she's passionate about. And then she decides, okay, I'm in love with this guy who's going to be a lawyer who says I can't be a lawyer, but I'm going to show him I can. And she just reapplies her skills there and ends up becoming a very, useful and knowledgeable legal student and ends up winning a case because she's done what a good lawyer does, which is drawn from every experience they have in order to seek out the truth.
Yeah, but my point is that's not Barbie. I don't know why people are saying that's a Barbie movie.
But because she was in pink. That's why they're saying
pink and
blonde. That's my point. And the point I'm getting around to is men don't fucking understand Barbie. That's my fucking point. So it's not made for us. The fact that people are going around saying we already had a Barbie movie called Legally Blonde proves my fucking point. It's in the chat right now. It's all over the place. Every place I go, it's on Twitter, everywhere. People are like, we already have Barbie movies called Legally Blonde. I'm like, how does that have anything to do with Barbie just because she's wearing pink?
And why can't we have 30 Barbie movies?
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand. Is there a limit? Is there some kind of legal limit to the number of Barbie movies?
Well, no, but that's the point. There hasn't been one. This is the first. I think that's the point Tom is trying.
I'm fine with a Barbie movie. I'm like, diversify your audience with your content. I mean, that's one thing. We haven't had a Barbie movie before. We should, because it's one of the biggest dolls in human history to sell. Like, why not diversify the market and do some more media?
Make it, make it something that's good for the audience.
Yeah, we've also had tons of stop motion and animated Barbie movies straight to video for girls that did really well.
Barbie video games.
Barbie video games.
I love watching all these guys squirm in the chat just because I'm not going with the fucking echo chamber on this one.
Well,
this is hilarious.
We've had a live action film of Bratz. Remember Bratz dolls? That thing that came before Barbie. That's actually should be a curse, a sin almost. It's like, wait, you're gonna do Bratz before Barbie? Really?
Well, I mean, to be fair, there have been a buttload of those Barbie videos, the films. I mean, there's.
Yeah, but I'm talking like theatrical live action. Bratz
Yeah.
superseded Barbie, which that's, that's a crime.
Well, Josie and the Pussycats got a. I mean, let's just.
Oh yeah, Gem and the Holograms.
Gem and the Holograms. Yeah, Gem.
Hey, Josie and the Pussycats wasn't too bad actually.
Would,
that one was better
Spice
than it
Girls,
had the right to be.
Spice Girls be a Barbie offshoot?
No.
Yeah, Spice Girls was them trying to recreate the Beatles film things they were doing there.
I'm not talking about the movie. I'm talking about just the musical group.
Oh, the musical group. Yeah.
Ugh.
The movie was.
That was them trying to redo the Monkeys, but with women.
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
How do you
actually wasn't that basically a spin-off of the Archies anyway?
Oh, that's a good question. I'm not sure.
I think it was actually, because I think
every boy band, every band is a spin-off of the Chipmunks.
This is true. You're not wrong. Well, actually, they were all trying to be like the Beatles and stuff, basically.
Alvin!
Okay.
Wow, did everybody have that power record?
Oh God, Dave Seville, man, and the Witch Doctor. People forget about that one. That was the first one, actually. I told the Witch Doctor I was in love with you. Boom, 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 boom. That's right. Yeah, let's keep moving here. We've got Callum Lyle, who says we missed his first 2 super chats. Andre, I did not see them in the depository here.
Go and check.
Yeah, so please do. Here. My guess is they came in ultra early.
I've got access to the fan funding tab on the.
And what does it say there?
So for an Australian 5 from Callum Lyle, he says live action or animated because I still want the crying shill to suffer. You know he cried when he saw his Superman in the Flash movie. That's what he said for the first
Kevin
5.
Smith?
I guess
Kevin
so.
Smith, yeah.
And then Callum Lyle for another 5 says, where can I find that clip of Tom going over what happened, what part 2 of She-Man was about with his toys?
Actually, it's in quite a few places.
The most recent place where you can find it is in our most recent Conan video, where we go through exactly what went wrong with He-Man over at Netflix, because that ties into what went wrong with Conan over at Netflix.
I have it clipped out here.
That's one of our topics today.
That is one of our topics today. Yeah,
He-Man
and Barbie, and it's not a coincidence.
So there you go. There's the link in the chat for you. That's just the clip by itself from Mead. But otherwise, that actually originated on Comics Division's channel when I did that.
And it was hysterical.
It was great.
It was magic happening right
Almost as good as the Indiana Jones and Flash one I did too, huh?
Yes. Oh, yeah. That was so good.
You see that Batmobile over there? It's beautiful, isn't it? Don't look at it. You're never going to see it again. Action Com says, Andre, why is Norway taking it from these Canadians? That's right. First, they insult you with the moose sculpture, and now they're trying to smoke you out.
Norway likes their smoked kippers.
I was going to say, Norway is going to blow that smoke back and be like, ha, 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 ha.
We're just being generous because they can never, ever match our T1000 moose.
Or to smoke their fish. Is that what you're going to say?
T1000 moose. I like that. Yes. But we have narwhals.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mess with one of
those. Whales. So that's nothing. Hell, that's nothing. We got Free Willy from Will. We got the real one. We killed him. So
I'm convinced that narwhals were just unicorns that didn't make it onto Noah's Ark and had to adapt.
Probably.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, it makes sense if you think about it.
Yep.
Sure.
King Zing Sting sends in $13.99. Speaking of Canadians, says, when will Disney learn they can't change the culture if nobody watches their shit? Also, how much do you think Spirit Halloween charged the Snow White production for costume rentals? Oh man, yeah, that's pretty bad. Because for those who saw the Flashcast on Saturday night before it got taken down for nudity, we were going through costumes that you could get even on like Amazon, and they were better than what was in this movie.
I'm fairly certain that those were not costumes. They just grabbed a bunch of people, hired some people off of Portland.
Well, I guess that Axel
in the movie.
Disney just needs to hire Axel Braun already. When his costumes are more.
Who's Axel Braun?
Oh boy, now we got to teach Paul who Axel Braun is.
He is an adult filmmaker who apparently hasn't been working much since the pandemic. So
he was most famous, or at least got biggest, when Captain Marvel came out, and his version of Captain Marvel looked more like the real Captain Marvel than Captain Marvel did.
Wow.
Yeah. How way?
And
Way.
buxom.
Yes.
And Tom, before you move on with the super chats, I see
Sure.
two more that we may have missed in the beginning here, because
Please grab them.
Callum Lyle wasn't the only one who sent 2 super chats that didn't get auto notified by
grab.
We need to make a note to
ST
complain to StreamYard.
Yeah, STR Red Wolf sent us 2 as well. First saying, with more trailers coming out, I see.
Oh, we got
Barbie
that
movie.
one.
We got it. Okay. Well,
Yep.
never mind. Yeah, I just.
No, just
Oy
make sure
vey.
at least. Better to make sure then.
Oy,
Big Boss.
Oy vey. See,
Yeah.
I've decided to sprinkle Yiddish throughout.
You're gonna
our
be
entire
Yiddish,
show
Paul, all
today.
day.
That's fine. Try to sprinkle the chat with some shekels too. That'd be
You need
good.
some.
Hey.
You need some big, thick. Do you have any old, big, thick rimmed glasses? Then you'd look just perfect.
Here's the Yiddish one. Not just shekels. We want geld. So get on the channel right now. Give us geld, which is
There you
gold.
go.
Before we geld you into giving us
So we
more.
guilt you. We guilt you into gelting.
That's right. Big Boss says, to piggyback on Tom's rant on Maleficent, I think the biggest F up in retelling was Cruella. Yes, their fucking parents are killed by dogs. What the hell? How do you take a megalomaniac and who wants to skin puppies and make her sympathetic? Exactly. Like I said, I don't give a shit what excuse you come up with. Like, of all the bad guys in the pantheon of Disney, Cruella de Vil is the one who earned her name the most. Why? Because that bitch wants to kill puppies for no other reason than because she wants a jacket out of them. Yep. There's nothing more to it than that.
Nope.
That's what makes her freaking evil, is because she has no reasoning behind it. She just saw the puppies and was like, I want a jacket made out of that because nobody else has one. That's why I want it. It has nothing to do with anything other than that. This whole stupid backstory, that was dumb. Dumb. Did anybody here actually watch the whole stupid thing?
No.
I would never subject myself to that.
It looked horrible.
Amy
Adams looked horrific.
Or you mean Emma Stone?
Emma Stone. Look,
I made it in 10 minutes, Tom. That was it.
I'm still waiting for the sequel.
So is Emma Stone.
Yeah, so is her bank account.
I didn't believe her as a Japanese person or Cruella de Vil's assistant. I'd say, yeah.
I don't get into it.
Cruella de Vil.
I have a soft place in my heart for Emma.
I like her.
I do too. That's what's sad. Exactly. Yeah.
I like her. She just couldn't pull off the evil.
Yeah, she was the best Mary Jane to ever play Gwen. Script knows what I'm talking about. She was the perfect Mary Jane. And what did they do? They dyed her hair blonde and made her play Gwen. It was like, what the fuck are you doing?
Stone is a blonde.
I know, but she was always a redhead in movies.
Well, she was introduced as in a redhead first because that's kind of what got her noticed.
But she stuck with it. Is my point.
That's what got her noticed, right? Yeah, that's what got her noticed.
She was perfect for the part, if you ask me.
A redhead that doesn't have abrasive freckles, that gets you noticed in Hollywood.
Okay, well, that's not what I was.
She wasn't Gwen, was my whole point. But SpartanBot 1001 says Yellow Flash just put out a video on the reviews. One of them said the first 20 minutes is okay, then it turns into anti-patriarchy movie. But where does it settle? That's my question.
This is a very funny post here because they're quoting third parties commenting on second parties seeing.
Yeah,
and I get it. Hearsay here.
And we do this all the time, so I'm not going to knock that. But I think Script is right. Is how are they using it? How does it resolve itself? Like,
but do women care? That's ultimately the point.
And that's the other thing too, is at the end of the day.
Here's the contrast, right? If Barbie lives in a Barbie world where Barbie is in charge of everything and she goes into man's world where women aren't in charge of anything, she's probably going to be shaken by that. It's a fish out of water story. And now I'm not trying to justify it like, yes, that justifies, if there's woke things or not. I'm just saying on a premise side of things, there's something fun to explore there. Now, my curiosity is, well, how do they do that? Do they go the low-hanging fruit, ideological realm, or do they go in a proper like fish out of water, Austin Powers in the 90s from the 60s realm, where they just don't make sense to them and they're butting up against systems and whatnot, and the commentary is kind of flippant and uninformed because they don't know this world?
My understanding is it's the evil Mattel. They've turned Mattel into an evil corporation run by Farrell, and that's the part that people hate the most in the movie. Is the most disconnected part is the entire Will Ferrell component.
Which I think is funny that they allowed Mattel allowed themselves to be considered the villain in the film.
Yeah, that's
actually quite clever. I mean, is Barbie on a quest to save Mattel? Because if that's the case, that could also be kind of fun.
That I have no idea.
I mean, the various versions
says that component is the worst part. It's the one part that does not make any sense.
Various versions of the story that I've read, and again, this is second, third-hand information. The whole basics of the story is like you just said. Barbie leaves her world because something's not right with her and she's got to figure it out, whatever. She gets to the real world, finds out that, yes, I heard a part of it is that like because men run it and all this other shit, it's more of a different kind of world for her. She don't like it. Then she goes back or whatever, and things go back to normal at the end or whatever, from what I've heard. I don't know for sure if that's how it ends, but if that's the case, then I think script is right as far as how it's resolving itself. Is Barbie, knows she's needed in the Barbie world. Her and Ken need to be together by the end. If those two things are not resolved by the end of the film and they're not together and she decides to change the Barbie world or something, then I can understand how people are having an issue with this movie. And I would too. But again, it's not made for me.
Listen, if we're going to do this again, we need to have a speculative spoiler alert. Because we don't know what the fuck is talking
spoiler alert. Yeah, I don't either. That's the thing. Is like I'm trying to piece all this shit together. And people are saying things, and then I'm seeing clips from the trailers, and other clips are dropping, and I'm like, that doesn't even jive with what people are saying.
So one of you guys needs to watch it.
I'm going to tomorrow. He's seeing it tonight.
I'm going to ask my daughter to review it on my channel.
Well, and that's what I was going to say. Is Andre, you should take your daughter and see what she says about it too. But
yeah. I think I want to see this one first.
That might be a good idea.
And then. Once I know that this is the propaganda, then we're going to enjoy it together.
That's fair. Yeah. Nin Pao Bob says, I think the old DDR, East Germany fairy tale movies look better than what I think means what Disney is doing. Yeah. Well, I mean, that's just it. If they just lean into more of the things they didn't necessarily touch on in the original stories, that would be interesting. I never watched the show, but I know women were really into, I had a girlfriend at the time was really into that show that ABC did with all the princesses. Once Upon a Time, where they were really into that show.
Yeah. I think we're spending too much time kvetching about a movie we haven't seen.
Well, no. I'm talking about the Disney part of it. Like with them remaking. Have you seen that at all, Paul? That show they did where it's basically, Yeah, I thought that was an interesting, unique kind of idea. I thought it wasn't made for me, and I didn't care for it all that much. But
it was a clever show. I liked it.
But at least they were trying something different. Yeah,
it was good for one season.
Beard sends in 5 and says, "Man, I wish I hadn't promised my wife I'd watch Barbie with her. I grew up with being told I'm trash because I'm a man. I don't want my fun time to tell me that too." Well, guess what? Here's the upside of this. You go out, you take the wifey out to Barbie, you're probably going to get laid afterwards.
Listen, your wife is schlepping you to the movie. Number 4.
Yeah. We were joking about this. Like, has anybody else here seen that South Park episode where the guys realize if they go sit through that boring opera or whatever it is that their wives
it's Wicked. If they take their wives to Wicked.
Wicked. That's what it was. Yes. Thank you, script.
And then Randy decides to make the ultimate play that gets all these sorts of sexual things.
It's a great episode. Guys, just watch that episode before you see Barbie. Just remind yourself what you're doing here. I had to do that a few times. We've all had to do that if you have a girlfriend in your life. You have to take one for the team.
Exactly. There will be a reward in the end, one way or the other.
Sometimes you got to go see Under the Tuscan Sun to get laid, okay? It's just, you got to do it. Yeah. Dash Attack says, I'm going to see Barbie. I don't think it's going to be ultra woke. Well, I hope so for everybody's sake, but doesn't seem to be that way at this point. King Zing Sting says, hearing the patriarchy assessment makes Will Ferrell's patriarchy comment from months ago about the film make more sense. Pinochet's Helicopter Tour says, hilarious. Tom thinks Mattel's sovereignty over IP decisions and doesn't want to do financial masters demand of them. A corporation lies, sweet summertime. No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying after the success that Nintendo had with Mario, they watched over that like a hawk. I mean, I don't know how much power Mattel had over this, but the fact that they were running
Very
interference, the fact that they're running interference means that they don't want this shit to be a problem.
Yeah.
I mean, and if this goes the way that people are saying it is, it dives off a cliff the second weekend, because that's what I've been saying this whole time about the box office is, you know, it's been a shit year for the box office. This is shaping up to be the worst year since 1974 from what Culture had done in his research so far. Yep. And no blockbuster movie, good or bad, has done very well. Even Mission Impossible is underperforming at this point. Yep. Sound of Freedom is performing like blockbusters while that's doing poorly, which we were talking about the other day. Mm-hmm. And at this point, if Barbie underperforms too, then there's a serious fucking issue. And unless it's a bad movie and it falls off a cliff after a great first weekend.
There's that, but basically I think it's the fact that maybe audiences are basically readjusting what it is they want to do with their time, with their free time. And the fact that the Hollywood itself has not put out enough things that incentivizing people to say, you know what, let's go to the movies tonight. Because that's not even something that, like, even for when I first started dating my girlfriend, we were never even thinking like, hey, let's go to the movies. Like, that was not an option to us. We wanted to go places where we could talk and eat and communicate well. And in a movie theater, you kind of have to be silent. And there was also nothing playing at that point that we wanted to see. Like, that was the other part too. Like, where is the FOMO for blockbuster films nowadays? Like, I don't feel like it's there anymore.
Exactly.
I think that's happening with regards to the industry. And the other part too, which I think, because this last weekend did not really pull in the numbers they wanted to, maybe there's a little bit of solidarity in states like New York and California where they're not going to the films because of the strikes. There's always that factor that has to be
that may affect it. But I think Paul's bigger point was right on Friday when he said that these two generations, the two up and coming ones, the Zoomers and the millennials, just going to movies aren't their thing. And unless you put a movie out like Spider-Verse, or maybe even Barbie will be one of those movies to get them in the theaters, they're not going to go. And I think Hollywood's going to have to learn at some point, and this is what we've been saying all along, is you can't make a movie for everybody. So you need to start budgeting these things and start making them for specific audiences, kind of like they used to, and then hope things will reach out beyond their main audience.
I got
like a Sound of Freedom.
If we, now this is possibly completely naive, if they can create that wall of movie, what do you call it, output, where there's a terrific variety, I think people will get back into the concept of cinema.
Yeah.
And I am seeing that, and we talked about it before we started the show, a whole bunch of trailers that I've seen that Andrea said, well, you know, put together the list of a bunch of the trailers I like for the upcoming Friday show, and I'm going to be doing that. And that's what we need. We need a huge wall of interesting movies, and I think that's what will bring people back.
Except that right now, because of how risk averse all of these studios are, and they are going to be even more so now because they're all under financial gun. They can't afford to put out a wall of movies. They can't afford to take risks on a variety of different mid-level things. They might do a couple of them. I mean, obviously they can pay off substantially. But this isn't a lesson that Hollywood has been willing to accept. Joker was an example of a film that was a mid-level, a $55 million film that earned the filmmakers a lot of money, and the studios were like, crap, we did this badly. So they still didn't learn that lesson. They missed out on a huge payday for that film because of how risk averse they were. And this is a constant thing that's happening. If they were to do as you suggest, which I agree is 100% a great idea, Paul, if they were to do that, yeah, they'd be in great shape. But that's not that's not the Hollywood we're dealing with right now. The Hollywood we're dealing with is sitting on the sideline watching independents do better while they're watching the success of.
That's what my point is. And this is my question to you and everybody here is, I've actually got a feeling that notwithstanding the stupid writer's strike and the SAG strike, this is the opportunity for independent filmmakers to break the stranglehold of Hollywood.
Maybe.
I might be. Have the feeling that, I'm going to go when I go through the films that I've been checking out. I'm going to take a look at who it is that's distributing it or where it came from. I mean, it could have a Warner Brothers tag on it, but they could be just the distributors, not the people who created it. So I've got a feeling this is an opportunity as Hollywood falls apart for independent producers to come up through the middle and create, because in the end it's the distributor. And if the distributor is going, wait a second, the movies that we're really making money from are from all these independents, then screw Hollywood.
Yeah.
Well, that's basically what the cycle that Hollywood has gone through for generations, but has been artificially kind of blocked over the last, 15 or so years. Where have all the independents come out of in this line? Where are all the movie stars that are usually built, if not from television, but from independent films that break out and command an audience? The infrastructure, the major studios have almost completely forgotten that that's what they kind of do. They want to promote those stars because then it allows them to do the experimental films, the risk films, the arts films.
Was the Alan Arkin film with that was Miss Sunshine something or other? Was that an independent
Miss Sunshine?
film?
That was an independent
Miss
film.
Sunshine.
Yeah.
Yep.
See, like
it was picked up by Fox Searchlight, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's a fantastic example of a terrific independent film that actually Haley, what's her name, became a star out of it, right?
Yes, that along with the fact that she was also, I think, in Kick-Ass as Hit Girl, and that kind of blew her up a little bit too.
Right.
Well, and that was a time period, and that's the other thing that's kind of funky about Sound of Freedom is that the fact that movie was made 5 years ago is kind of like proof of that. This is what the studios have now been doing for roughly about 5 years. That is ignoring these smaller budget, mid-level movies that used to be sold on the movie star and the premise, and completely moved over to the other type of blockbuster type filmmaking. And Culture's right. If they were going to learn the lesson of, we need to do mid-budget things, the time for them to learn that was going to be Joker, right? Because as I always say, is in Hollywood, they'll never do anything cheaper. They'll just find a way to make you pay for it. That's they never will. They once you've hit the point where they're like, no, we're used to this now. You can't take it away from us.
Right.
They're not going to do that. There's only certain filmmakers who are going to get out there and be guerrilla filmmakers like Gareth Edwards did with this upcoming Guardian movie. And I know whether you like the looks of it or not, point is he did it for under $100 million, and it looks 10 times better than any other Marvel movie out there right now. And that's another thing that Hollywood used to be able to do, is these, really interesting kind of, they could be big, they might not be big. We took a little bit of a chance on it, but we didn't take a huge chance on it, right?
Well, that's because they had creative executives who love the movie. Yeah. But any movie that comes out, we are going to be speaking tachlis.
That's your Yiddish word for the last 5 minutes. Yes.
That means we're not sugarcoating our point of view.
Say it again.
I actually understood it. Yeah,
tachlis.
Yeah, you're going to say it. Tachlis. It would be in modern day Norwegian, actually. So basically, you'd say it without tact. You'd say it without grace and without rapidity.
Oh, I see. Tact is the core word.
Yeah,
gotcha.
We're not sugarcoating it. So there's Yiddish number 5.
That's the fun thing with when you say Yiddish, like a good third of it I'll understand by way of German.
But it's German. Yes, it is.
Yeah.
German derivation. Great word.
Let's see here. Let's get back into some more super chats, because we've kind of talked about the Barbie reviews already. So we're gonna break into He-Man here as soon as we get a super chat on that. But we've got let's see here. We were Wartooth88 who asks, do you think Oppenheimer will bomb in Japan? Oh, too soon, sir. Too soon.
Oh my God.
Maybe he'll bomb twice. Who knows?
Yeah, I think it's a prequel to Godzilla is what we're going to find out.
I think what you're saying is Oppenheimer going to plots in Japan.
Plots, is that how you say bomb in Yiddish?
It means explode.
It's going to blots all over. Okay.
It's going to plots in Japan. See, you could have put in the Yiddish.
Yeah. Magitech Mag says, if Barbie is bad, I'll call it out. Believe me, I'll bring the hellfire if it's disappointing. You've disappointed me, Frodo. Corleone levels of disappointment.
And hell hath no fury like a woman scorned. And that,
hell yeah.
That extends to fanism. Let's put it that way.
Well, they're going to get the women from the cities, but it's just too bad they're going to be missing, all the women in the Midwest, and and all just
The ones that actually buy their shit.
correct.
See, this is the problem, right? Mattel allowed themselves to be the bad guy in their own movie, right? Via Will Ferrell. Man, I can't wait to do this review tonight. Anyway, so
I look forward to it.
yeah, so you have that on one side of the equation, and then you have the fact that if you Bud Light Mattel, which is the point of the video I made a week ago, right?
Mhm.
If you Bud Light Mattel at this point, it's a $5 billion a year earner. So if they and of that, 1/3 of that $5 billion is Barbie brand. So
Right.
if you knock out 20 to 25% of sales of that $5.1 billion through Mattel, that's $400 million you're going to lose if you futz it up. You're gonna and that's a lot of friggin' money.
And as you said in your video, look at the opportunity to make a ton of money if you
Yes.
just do this right.
Yes. Yeah. You watched the video. Yeah. No.
I did.
Yeah. But that's true. I mean, the money's endless if you do this right, because it creates a situation where you make another one of these, and you make another one of these, and you're in that flow that Nintendo found itself in with Super Mario Brothers. They're building an entire universe around Nintendo. What a missed opportunity this will be. So we'll see what happens.
G-Man says, Tom is getting suspiciously deep on Barbie lore. No, I don't know. There is no real Barbie lore set.
I'm the one that set down deep on Barbie lore. I'm the one that wrote the videos. So
yeah, I was going to say, the thing is
at one point there actually was a Barbie lore, and the canon full name of Barbie was Barbara Millicent Roberts, I believe it was, and she was from somewhere in Wisconsin. That's the canon name for Barbie the character. But at some point in the last few years here, Mattel decided to ditch that canon and kind of like start over when that became problematic. But there was a Barbie canon at one point.
Look, and I mean, there's some possibility like that. There's this, I guess this individual, I don't know her name, but she just took over the Barbie division here not too long ago, I guess, is part of the problem too. So that could be where some of this stuff stems from, where all the changes have come from in the character. But
and Mattel are also doing like their own Mattel Studios modeled after Marvel Studios, and they have agreed to like some changes and updates to that. And were they good changes and stuff? We will just have to wait and see.
Yeah. Ryan sends in 50 euros. Holy crap. Thank you, Ryan. Says, if Disney is having a yard sale, then Lucasfilm is the stained mattress nobody wants. Nobody wants their damaged goods except for equity firms. Who'll melt them down for cash? Yeah. Oof. Yeah, this is kind of the thing when people bring up, oh, Lucasfilm is for sale or something might be getting sold. It's like, why? Why would Disney even do that to themselves? And I know there's like, well, they did it in the past with Power Rangers and they were at a completely different spot when they did that. Power Rangers is also something they never really could figure out how to
work
with and all that other stuff. But
Disney's integrated Star Wars into its company far more
that's just
than ever did with Power Rangers. Like if this was, say, 2016 before Galaxy's Edge opened up, Disney probably could have gotten away with selling Star Wars and not have much of an issue. Because there's no construction or anything of that solidifies the fact that they have to have a agreement with the new owners of the studio. It's too late now. It's forever going to be a part of Disney unless someone with a massive amount of money and a lot of time who's willing to burn it all just to separate those two entities decides to do so. And I don't think anyone out there will be willing to.
Because I don't see Disney selling for any less than they paid. And the time to sell it would have been right after The Force Awakens.
Yeah.
That's the only time that they could have made a profit on it.
Yeah, before they wrecked it. I mean, and now that we've had the budget finally revealed for how much that cost, I mean,
yeah,
wow.
And that's the thing. Would they have been able to get another billion out of it even? That's the other argument.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Maybe because The Force Awakens would have bumped it up a little bit, but I still don't think they would have been able to walk away with a profit. Basically, the only profit they would have walked away with would have been whatever they made off of The Force Awakens at the end of the day. And that would have been it. But that would have been the only time, because after that, it all went downhill from there. Call sign Elcard says, when Jeremy John has to say a movie is not meant for men, then it's a problem.
Yeah.
Well, and that's where I'm trying to keep more of just a kind of I'll wait and see
Do you
what
have
the
to have
women
a
think,
thing
kind
that
of
says
thing.
Predator is not made for women? It's a silly argument.
Yeah, you can put it the other way. Like, for instance, yeah, you can say that Rambo and Predator and the Terminator and stuff, these are made for men. But at the same time, that doesn't mean they're inaccessible for a woman. Rambo may be made for me, but when I took my significant other to see Rambo Last Blood, we both had a really good time with it. She would
Well,
never
I
see
hope.
it on the court, but when she was there with me, it was fine.
And that's the thing I'm saying too, as far as Barbie goes, with the trailers, the way they're selling this movie, they're doing just that. They're making a movie for the women that men can enjoy too, if it is the movie they're presenting in the trailers. But we'll find out soon enough from Culture when he gets back from the Barbie dream house. Magitech Mag says Barbie has had movies, they're animated and made for children, not for us adults that have grown up. Yes, that's another thing. That is true. Carlos Estrada says, is there a Canadian bear named Winnie the Poutine? I like cheese curds and I like potatoes
that would be
and gravy.
Good cross promotion. Disney would come after the truck that would have it, though.
I'm a little black rain cloud.
Actually, Disney lost the lawsuit over that
because
someone used Winnie the Pooh in something.
A horror film.
Well, he's public domain now, yeah.
Public domain.
I thought that was fantastic.
You just can't use their version, that's all.
Right. Which is fine.
Oh, bother, you can't have him sounding like this.
Man, they did a good job of those Winnie the Poohs back when Disney really knew what they were doing.
Oh, those were that was some of the only hits they had in that era.
Every episode was magic of that.
It was great.
Well, I was talking about the movies, but yeah.
Yeah, those two. The movies were also magic, but like even the series.
And what was amazing about Winnie the Pooh is that you could see yourself in the different characters, whether you were Eeyore or Piglet. They were very clear. You know, this is shy. And each one had a winning cycle. Even though they had severe LDs.
Except for Rabbit, he ended up killing everybody in a mass suicide kill.
There's that.
You know, he just had enough of Pooh's shit, and
yeah, I mean, it was brilliantly constructed that way. You could see yourself. You'd go, oh, I'm an Eeyore, I'm a Piglet, I'm a Winnie the Pooh, and then you cheered for that character.
Well, yeah, most kids usually associate with Roo or Piglet when they're younger, and then as you get older, you kind of understand Pooh or Tigger a little bit more if you've got a cocaine habit, that is.
And if Piglet ever gets a sunburn, Winnie the Pooh has to question how much of a friend he is to his little buddy.
I'm sorry, Piglet, but I must eat your face. Bacon is good.
That's right, bacon
and honey.
Dipping it in honey.
Smoked Piglet from Canada.
Smoked Piglet from Canada. I wonder
nice job. Good job there.
Oh yes, Winnie the Pooh is a good one. Yes.
That is a good job.
I do a little bit more classic than I do. Well, I can do a lot of. Jim Cummings took over the voice of Winnie the Pooh from the original actor, and a lot of the Jim Cummings voices I can do. Yeah, he does Darkwing Duck and stuff like that too. Yeah, but yeah, thank you so much, Carlos. And then we've got Black Az. He just sends $1. Thank you, Black Az. We appreciate that.
Maurice LaMarche does great. Speaking of Canadians,
Maurice LaMarche is awesome. Yeah,
just great voices.
And of course, for those who don't know who he is, he did the voice of Egon, of course, in the Real Ghostbusters and the Brain and Pinky on the Brain. Yes. And 9 times out of 10, if they have to do something that has Orson Welles' voice, they bring him in.
He's such a nice guy. I love him to death.
He also does a very uncanny Peter Falk.
Really?
Yep.
I can see that.
What a weird accent. What a weird voice to pick up on Peter Falk.
What was that movie that Mark Hamill made years and years ago where it had nothing but voice actors in the cast? Was it Comic Book the movie or something like that?
Aside from Bruce Campbell that was in there, I think maybe it would have been Comic Book movie.
I think that's a great to find out, because the best thing about it isn't the movie itself, but there's like a panel afterwards, and it's like this just panel of like the greatest voice actors ever, all in this panel. Like you got what's his face who does SpongeBob, Jim Cummings, all these guys that were in the movie.
Strong, another Canadian.
She was in it too, I believe.
Yeah, I love Falk. Thank you very much, ma'am. one more thing. I can't remember the
Oh,
name
the
of
In-Laws with him and Alan Arkin.
Oh,
God, fantastic! That's
The
a movie
original
more
one,
people
yeah.
need to go back and watch. The remake with Albert Brooks and Douglas was okay, but the Peter Falk one with Alan Arkin was just
Better.
absolutely
Fantastic.
chef's kiss. Yeah.
Yeah.
that's
Dark
a-
King says regarding Disney's financials, you don't need a weatherman to know which way the wind is blowing. Was Iger part of the Weather Underground?
Whoa,
Yes, he
two
was.
jokes in one. Look at this.
Yes, he was.
Woo,
Dark King.
King. Let you
Bringing it.
auditioning for Carson or something.
Come in here and write some jokes for me and Paul.
Yep.
Brandon, the anime guy, says because script don't work for free. He can't. He's on strike. So
That's correct.
You're not AMPTP, are you?
Yeah. Can you come in here and scab for script?
Yeah, and script stuff that he's talking about here would be much better if he wasn't on strike, but we're just getting the shitty.
He just can't rewrite what you write.
Yeah,
us. That's the only
we're
thing.
getting the shitty script doctor today.
Brandon, the anime guy, says, as a father of 3 now teen daughters, I'm so sorry, Brandon. Oh my God, your life must be a living hell. They loved, enjoyed all the Barbie animated directive. You must have seen them at nausea growing up. Oh God, man. Video movies and TV series at Netflix over the years. I trust Mags 100%. Hope it is fun, even if it sucks. That's just it. I'm not trying to dump on this movie because it's not made for me. I don't give a shit. Like, this is the one time where Brie Larson should be out there going, it wasn't made for you. And I get it. There's a lot of guys who are very upset about this, and I don't understand why, but yet they're getting upset that I was passionate about it earlier. It's like, look, I hope it's good for the ladies, right? I really do, because I've watched them and I've seen them get excited. And I'm jealous, but I'm happy for them. Because I see them getting excited like I wish I could get excited for Ninja Turtles or something like that.
Watch it. I think you're schmoozing.
Schmoozing? I am probably schmoozing, and that's a word I do know.
Okay. I think that's 7.
Go schmooze.
I've got 7 now.
7 now? We're not paying you by the number, or by the word, just so you know. Accident Seller says, if Oppenheimer bombs, flopping. Oh, yeah. The headlines are going to write themselves at this point. This is what I was talking about, because Oppenheimer's only looking at a $50 million opening. And I think, Script, you were part of this conversation too, and whatnot. I think we were talking about last night, where like, that being 3 hours long, we're looking at a situation where the top 5 could run something like Barbie, Sound of Freedom, Mission Impossible, and then Oppenheimer or something along those lines.
And I'm hearing already Oppenheimer is a historical slog.
It's Christopher Nolan. I believe that.
Well, some people also did confirm some of the things I heard about it being a bit of taking some liberties with history as well.
Yeah,
I heard there was some naked.
But Paulie saw it and enjoyed it. He was in the chat earlier, and he does recommend it. So he said it was great. So
okay, they gave him a black wife, which was.
Did they really?
No.
I can't. That's the problem, Chad. I
would have totally.
I don't know if you're kidding.
One of the calculator girls.
Well, like what I mentioned last night. Listen, if they did an Alan Oppenheimer movie about him finding the voice for Skeletor,
I need a voice for this character, and I can't find it.
I watched the hell out of that movie.
Who is Alan Oppenheimer?
You bumbling boobs. He did like half the voices on He-Man.
Oh, he's a real guy.
Yes, real guy.
Okay.
Still alive, does conventions. Yeah.
I thought it was a movie idea where it's Oppenheimer's dumber brother who tries to outdo his brother's smarter.
Well, let's rewrite history and make Alan Oppenheimer the son of Oppenheimer. And he's like, you're never going to be as big as me, having made the nuclear bomb. He's like, I'll show you.
Well, there's not enough of a story there because the true story is he was just excited at the strip club. He's like, boobs. Wait a minute. That's the voice I need. Boobs. Yes. You bumbling boobs. No, that was dumb. Anyway, thank you so much, Accident Seller. We got what's your first thought? Who says, unfortunately, it looks like the Mission Impossible is underperforming. I think Odin might owe Tom a little apology. Well, look, it wasn't like I was trying. I think he was misinterpreting what I was trying to say, which is fair because I am a bit autistic and sometimes it's difficult for me to get my thoughts out the way I'm trying to say them. And I think I did it best I think on the morning show here Monday morning, Andre.
Yeah, or with
you
Mr.
talked
H.
about
He
it.
did really well there.
Or with Mr. H, basically just explaining like, look, this movie may be making less than what Mission Impossible is, but if you go by the amount of theaters it's in, by the theater average compared to what Mission Impossible's theater average is, Sound of Freedom is technically kicking its ass. And it's kind of showing through as we get into the week when, you know, it's not like a buttload of people going to the theater. It's just,
wait till Sound of Freedom hits Mexico.
Which I believe it opens this weekend.
It does, yeah.
And Nina finally got a chance to see it. So she said it was very powerful. Yeah, she talked to actually like the first half hour of it on Toxic Femme the other night.
Which I haven't had a chance to
I know
watch.
I figured you hadn't had a chance to go through yet. Yeah. No, because we had a great conversation about it there too. Yeah, no, I mean, hopefully, and here's the thing that Mission Impossible has going for it, and this is, you know, just for those who think I have some Tom crusade against, you know, Mission Impossible here, I don't have a crusade against it, or Tom for that matter, is it has a chance with Oppenheimer. If Oppenheimer doesn't perform well its opening weekend, I can see a lot of the IMAX theaters flipping back over to Mission Impossible, which will help it for a third weekend gain some momentum and maybe leg this thing out. So that's all it can really hope for at this point. Otherwise, it's going to be saved by the foreign market, really, at this point. Because that's just it. Americans are not going to movies right now for some reason.
If you're into quantum physics and the double slit experiment, Oppenheimer's for you.
That's right. Black Ass says, what about Tyra Banks' Barbie movie from the 90s? Did she do one? Oh, that, are you talking about that, was it Life-Sized or something like that? That Disney movie where the doll came to life? Kind of a weird ripoff of Mannequin or whatever. Yeah. I think that's what he means.
Mannequin was actually good, though.
Well, that was them doing their own unique thing, though. But I guess, well, kind of ripping off a bunch of other stuff and creating something unique out of it. The Kaiju Gamer says Cruella de Vil was so evil they mocked her in the Aladdin parody called Twisted. All the Disney villains were feeling bad for Jafar and not her. I can see that.
I can see that.
And then STR Red Wolf says Cruella had no candle to the true villain, Cruella held no candle to the true villain. The hunter who shot and killed Bambi's mother, the only true killer in all the Disney villains. Well, you got a point there, and we never did know who did it.
I think Bambi shot first.
I bet that if Disney,
George Lucas's version.
If Disney ever does some kind of a Bambi remake, then you just wait for that to happen.
I think they are, aren't they?
Yeah, they're doing the live action Bambi. I'm trying to remember who's directing it.
Sarah Polley, I believe.
That's right. Yeah.
I
mean, live action is it's an advanced computer animated movie.
Live action.
I'm just waiting for the live action remake of Finding Nemo.
Well, in that one, they better do the whole fan theory on Nemo just to make it like fuck with everybody's head.
Oh, I'm Bruce.
That he's only hunting Nemo because it's a
figment of his imagination. Yeah, Nemo really died.
Nemo really died. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's a easier fan theory than the other one of what clownfish actually do. So.
Oh yeah. What's that one? I don't know that one.
I'm not entertaining it on this.
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
just go ahead.
You don't want to get this Nemo on the
I guess I'm way off. I have no idea on that one, but yeah.
But it's very current year. Let's put it that way.
All right, well, we got a couple more here. Let's do. We got Joe Pat who says, "Hey, what's this monkey business about the guilds wanting to limit production to California? Did I hear that right? Is that true, Script? Because that's gonna be not gonna go through real well."
That's news to me. If it was reported, I must have missed it. I also missed Barry Diller's comments on the strikes as well
last week. Yeah.
I thought I had an alert for it, but I guess it slipped.
Yeah, his IAC company is very strangely structured, but his take on that was a little weird too. And look, if they try to do this to pull off limiting production to just California, they're doing that for political reasons, because the way you're tied to the tax credits in California, which are massive still, for some reason it would have
massive, but they burn up so quickly. That's the thing.
Well, but I mean, they're at $1/3 of $1 trillion in yearly budget for a state. So anyway, regardless, they have a massive deficit from this current year. But anyway, if they try to do that, I think all the other states would rebel, and I think Hollywood would just say, you know what, we don't do business with the unions anymore.
I believe every single strike that I can recall reading about always came up, that they wanted to restrict business to California. That I've heard this every single time.
Was
it
it
never happens?
Was it from the studio side, or was it the talent asking that?
The unions.
The unions were asking that.
The unions were demanding that the stuff be done in California because they made more money and didn't have to travel. And
well, one of the things that actually the unions, the SAG specifically, is asking for is that if you're an actor that's being relocated to another country for shooting, that you're compensated for renting whatever accommodations are needed to do that, because again, that normally comes out of the normal pay, which means that after all those deductions, they're taking home significantly less than what they would be having taken the job or taken another job locally. But no, this is for this strike. This is news to me that they want to.
I've heard this before, and they need to be compensated if they go to someplace in the middle of nowhere like Romania and there's no blow to buy easily. Then they have to be compensated.
Yeah. Well, lots of other corporations that send their employees to work in other places compensate moving or renting expenses. Hollywood does not.
True. Oh, really? So Hollywood does not. Well, listen, when I was doing shows for Apple and back in the heyday of Comdex, man, the per diems were fantastic. I love them.
I mean, the only thing that I actually had, because I was Canadian, and if they were going to send me, like if I was in LA at the time, and they say, okay, you're going to work on this project and we're shooting in British Columbia, they gave me a bursary to go back, and basically free plane tickets and a bursary to go back that would be used for me to get an apartment, which I maintained for quite a while until 2018. But like all the actors that I knew, they had to find hotels or rent homes, or if they had family, they'd stay with them, just because they would have to pay it out of their own pocket if they weren't big enough to negotiate the studio to actually cover the costs. And a lot of times the studios just don't want to.
Well, I'll just say the guild's request, if this is true, they're just mashuganas.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean,
if anything,
I'm for film outside of California. Make it hurt the state a little bit so they redefine their economic structure, because they are pricing talent and people out of that state right now. With the way
but that train,
it's left a long time ago.
Station a long time ago.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And it was one of the I'm trying to remember which strike. I think it was in the 80s that really rocketed Toronto.
88.
Yeah, into the forefront.
It was either 87 or 88. Yeah,
that really established Toronto as an outside source for production.
Yeah. Well, moving on here, we've got some breaking news for Mikey. Shout has now announced the full, complete Elf collection is finally coming to DVD. 24 discs, including Project Elf, which is on Blu-ray now, by the way, and all 47 episodes of the animated series. There's all kinds of deluxe box sets that are going to be for that. There you go, kids.
It's this uncut.
Mikey's gonna.
Are these the uncut episodes? Because
it does not.
For specification.
I was going to say it doesn't say here, I don't think. But I hope
the only way to at least I haven't checked recently, but as of a few
years it was originally broadcast.
Okay, good.
Okay, but it also says with an asterisk, try to remember, has been edited for content and represents the best existing footage. Why would it be edited for content?
Okay. In other words, if you still have your German special edition DVD releases,
I don't, but I had them ripped somewhere. Do you have those ripped, Andre?
I believe I do. I have to double check.
Because I got the crappy US versions, but I used to have rips of them on disc somewhere.
I have to go through. My stuff, but I do believe.
But I think they're at the wrong speed too.
DVD somewhere, because they then presumably still represent the most complete, because they haven't been edited for content.
No, because yeah, they're the syndicated versions. Some of the episodes are missing like 1 or 2 minutes of the entire like bits and shit.
Yeah, they are because
Yeah.
they were cut down to like 17 minutes or something like that. All
20
of them.
or
They're
whatever,
all
yeah.
missing. They're all missing like 3 minutes.
That's still a huge number of discs to schlep around.
Oh,
Number 9.
uh-huh. Well, anyway, moving on. We've got Tommy Reviews, who says the only He-Man sequel is Bam Margera's Skeletor and Beastman CKY music video that predates Jackass. Of both of them as gay lovers shows my age. I've seen that video one too many times.
That is
One too many times. It is weird. But with that, let's get in this Motu news, because yeah, this news dropped yesterday afternoon. We talked about it on Mead, but I can't wait to hear Andre's take on this, because this is something we've been following for quite a while now.
For years, actually.
Yeah, like, you know, for those who don't know, Andre and I, when we first met and I started working here, one of the first things we bonded over was He-Man. So this is a project that we followed very closely from the start. But thank God it looks like the David S. Goyer / Nee Brothers version of He-Man is dead at Netflix, but it's sitting on a life raft. Andre, take us through this, please. Explain to me what's going on here.
Yeah, well, basically, what is happening is that it's dead at Netflix, and Mattel are trying to sell it to another buyer. Now, there's a few things to keep in mind here. One is the timing when this is dropping. Note that this is a Mattel property that is no longer happening at Netflix, and we'll learn of this. Of course, if you've been watching Midnight's Edge, we've been saying this for ages. This project is dead at Netflix, but now it's officially dead. And this happens just on the eve of Barbie's release. How many think that's coincidental that we learned of this right now?
Oh, I don't think it's coincidence at all. I think
I
think Mattel pushed for it. Yeah.
Yeah. Because by doing it right now, two things is achieved. The first is that the headline is kind of like drowned out by the box office success of Barbie, presumably. And secondly, they are able to let the industry know, hey, if you want to get in on He-Man, now's your chance. Sony and Fox, they have tried, and Warner have tried and failed already. They've already reached out to Universal. Universal have passed. That is in this article. So now they're looking for someone else. Who else could pick up a He-Man project?
There's not many left after that. Paramount, Warner could pick it back up. Because yeah, we talked a little bit about this last night. And if there is still anything to the idea that Universal has any rights in this, because we do know they do have the entertainment rights. So I'm under the idea that Universal probably said no, because all they got to do is sit around and just wait for the rights to lapse and fall back in their lap. So why would they put any money into this? Because there's money involved in this. Because that's the other thing, right, Andre? There's anywhere depending on from 30 to 60 million that's already been put into this movie, depending on how you read into this, which is insane.
Far more than that. That depends on when you begin the count.
Right.
Those 30 million, that is specifically development at Netflix. But this project has been in development since the early 2000s at Fox. And then
they're going by, I believe, 2007 in this article is what they're considering this version.
Incorrect. That's incorrect. It's older than that. I mean,
well, that's what we had talked about last night too. Yeah.
Yeah. I have in my possession a script from Fox, and I don't recall the date of it, but it's like 2005, 2006.
Yeah, it's 05 or somewhere between 05 and 07. So
yeah.
Okay, so this would have been the one that I was talking about last night. I mistook Universal for Fox, but yeah.
Universal has never had it.
That's where I was mistaken. Yeah, it was Fox. Yeah,
and there it was under director John Woo, and that was going to be a disaster. And then it was very briefly under Warner. It was actually Christian Harloff who brought it to Warner back in the day for Joel Silver Productions. But that went to hell when the Conan the Barbarian movie happened, because they decided that no matter what we try to do here is just too much like Conan, so let's not do it. Which only goes to show a problem that they have that I'll be going through in the upcoming editorial. And after it imploded at Warner, it was picked up by Sony. And Sony were the ones that did the most of it. They had so many creative teams looking at it. Some good, some bad. And ultimately, they went forward with the Nee brothers. And then Rothman came in, and he didn't have confidence in it, so he sold it off to Netflix. And that's where it's been the last few years, still under development of the Nee brothers. And after what we learned about the story, thank God that is dead and no longer happening, because it would have been a disaster. So I'm very, very glad that this thing has imploded at Netflix. It wasn't the right place for it. And hopefully they can now go back to the drawing board and do it right. It shouldn't be so difficult. Really shouldn't. So it's unbelievable that no, it's not unbelievable at all. It's just frustrating it's not unbelievable, but it's frustrating that they have spent all this money and they still have nothing to show for it. And what it says in the article is basically the Nee brothers, they had a take, they had a script, they had their star. The only thing was that the movie they were making was going to be too expensive. Netflix were willing to stretch to 150 million. And we don't know what their initial take of it was going to cost, but more than that. And then they went back to the drawing board. They did some number crunching, and then they came back with 180 million, which Netflix still balked at. And so between the two, no compromise was able to be reached. And so the whole thing imploded, and that happened quite some time ago. And now is when we're learning of it, because they still haven't found a buyer. So now they let the industry know this is for sale.
Yeah, for a little background here, because like Tom Siebert and I'm sure a few others are like, brief rundown on the story, have no idea. Okay, so this has started a long time ago. David S. Goyer is the one who wrote the more recent version. And the Nee brothers, I don't even know what the hell they ever worked on. They're the ones who've been set up to direct this version of Masters of the Universe, and it started out at Sony, and then Sony put it into turnaround, and Netflix picked it up. What, 2 years ago now?
I think you meant what was the story the Nee brothers were working on?
Oh, well, it was whatever Dave S. Goyer had come up with. Yeah.
No. The Goyer, that was with Sony. That's long.
I thought he's still credited though as writer, so they must be basing it off of his script.
I see some producing thing. Maybe there's some elements of it, but the gist of this script was written by Script Doctor. Help me out here, because you're such a big fan of him. The same dude who wrote Shang-Chi and who wrote Wonder Woman 1984.
Michael Waldron or
no,
the other guy?
Callahan.
That's the one. Callahan, yeah. And who wrote the Mortal Kombat reboot. He was the guy that wrote the Nee brothers and Netflix, He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. Now, we only know so much of the story, but what we can glean from that, because they released like the synopsis, that Prince Adam, he is a prince who dreams of, who is a prince of a faraway land, and he's transported to this faraway land where basically he has to learn the ropes quickly to become He-Man and save this faraway land, which tells us that the bulk of the story.
So it's Flash Gordon.
Not kind of, but it also tells us that since Eternia is a faraway land, he is not in this faraway land as the movie opens. In fact, a very big chunk of the movie was probably set on Earth.
Well, is this the one where he also was a football player too? Because that was what I was joking about. Because it was like almost a straight ripoff of Flash.
No, that was in the
earlier one.
That was in part 2 of the.
Oh, that's right, Mo 2. That's right. Yeah, I've getting them all mixed up now. I'm gonna have to go back and watch our own videos now.
Yeah, that was back in 1988.
Just to remind myself, because there's been so many damn different versions of this, but. Yeah, it's pretty sad we haven't got a He-Man movie yet, but yeah, I wonder where this is going to wind up. Now, I know Amazon has a live-action She-Ra series in the works that I believe still hasn't been shit-canned, so I wonder if Amazon might pick this up. What do you think, Andre?
I sincerely hope not, because that would put it straight under the purvey of Jennifer Salke. And look
Yeah.
what she's already done for the Wheel of Time. And
I'm
Lord
not
of
saying
the
what I
Rings.
want. I'm just saying that that's a possibility.
You know, Apple's looking for.
That'd be a nice place for it, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. No, not Apple. I mean, look at what they did to Foundation.
Well,
Like,
yeah, but no, but their
oh,
movies, but the movies they've picked up have been pretty good, like Tetris and some of the other ones. So, like,
yeah, but that was
maybe.
things that, but those were things that didn't really need any kind of.
Well, that's the thing,
subversion.
though, is Mattel is selling this version of the film, right? Like, because that's the whole thing. The problem here is they're already that much in the hole with this thing. And that's kind of when we read the article, is like there's got to have to be some money paid out in this, because
if there's a
paid
buyer,
out.
yeah, if there's a buyer that wants to, that tells them, hey, you know what, I want a license, but I want to start over without having to bring all this baggage along, for the right price, Mattel is going to let them do that. I'd be shocked if they didn't. Script, help me out
I'm
here.
sure, but at the same
either way,
time,
Mattel's getting stupped.
I was gonna say, I think it depends on how much creative control Mattel has, but
Good job.
Script Doctor, you're not getting paid for that one either.
Well, elaborate, Script. Tell us what's going on.
They've burned millions and millions of dollars. If they were to ever put forth a Masters of the Universe film, their accounting would have to roll in all the previous expenses and attempts,
Like Superman Returns,
like with Superman Returns, like with the Flash, and yeah, they would either have to pray that they make a massive amount of money off of it, or if at the bare minimum break even and pay close attention to the reviews and reception in order to invest and build up to a sustainable franchise. It's not a very good position for them to be in at this point, at this moment. And yeah, I would say they're basically should be looking at them, take a very close look at themselves in the mirror to be like, why did we go this route with these people, knowing that, like, thinking that this could have been pulled off. I think it's because Mattel is still a fairly new studio, like mini studio within the system, and they got hoodwinked by these people. Like David S. Goyer's he's a very contentious guy, but he has marketed himself well as being like, the superhero comic book scribe. Dave Callahan has been encroaching on that reputation, and has also failed to deliver as well. I just don't see how Mattel can really do anything at this point other than probably cut their losses, see if they can use their other properties to pay for those expenditures, and wait it out until they find the climate is right for He-Man to come in. I don't think right now, or at least in the next couple of years, the climate's going to be right for He-Man to make a debut and actually really gain an audience back again. Which is unfortunate.
But I have a question about that, because all of this money that has been spent, it wasn't Mattel that spent that money. It was Netflix. It's Netflix that has to write that off. The same thing with all the stuff that was done as Sony. It was Sony that developed it for millions upon millions upon millions. Part of their expense was the licensing fee to Mattel. Surely for Mattel, they could just sit back and collect the licensing fee, while the studio were the ones just paying all the bills. Surely it would be the same thing here, that the ones at 30 millions in the hole would have been Netflix.
Oh, if that's the case, because I thought that Mattel was in a co-production with their licensing agreement, so that they were footing part of the expenses of that. But if that's not it, then I guess, yeah, I'll have to reassess my statement. But
yeah, because I know that they're like in a co-production company, but I don't think that there was any kind of like 50-50 split or anything like that. My understanding, because this certainly was the case up to Sony, was that Sony were paying everything. They were paying all the development. Maybe that changed under Netflix, but I would be surprised if that would have changed tremendously, because as it was, He-Man was profitable for Mattel, because they just sat back and collected the licensing fee, while Hollywood bungled it.
Well, and this is the way I read it, was Sony had already put in 30 million or something like that, and then then Netflix picked it up in turnover for 30 million. So that was where I think they figured there was already $60 million put into this production already.
So basically, Netflix gave Sony, wrote off what Sony already spent.
Yeah, something like that. So I don't know if there was a part where Mattel was involved there or something like that, but I'm assuming they're also I don't know if that 30 million probably doesn't count like the Nee brothers and paying Goyer and all those other people off too. Because you got to also remember we've had 2 or 3 different He-Men attached to this thing too. Now, granted, they probably didn't get paid out anything because they didn't make the movie, but I mean that just means that they had gotten so far into production where I'm sure certain monies had been spent on certain development things. So that's what I'm saying. I wonder how much was all put in on all together, because basically I'm thinking Netflix just wants to get the 30 million that they paid and get out of it, is what I'm looking at here. And maybe if it's at the pressure of Mattel, I don't know, because you were kind of insinuating something to that effect, Andre, that I did not know about. But I mean, I could assume that Mattel is going to want to try and conglomerate everything they can under one studio. I mean, they're not just their own studio, but like with Warner Brothers or what have you, to where they don't have to keep dealing with several different studios.
Yeah.
But that's just a guess on that part.
Yeah, I don't know the legalities in it, but if Mattel changed the deal that they had from Sony backwards, then in retrospect, that was a bad deal, because that means
I have no idea
right now. And why the hell would anyone want to go in and pick up all of their bungling with a take that I certainly think is a disastrous one that they never should have go with in the first place?
And here. Go ahead, Paul.
The only people who have really benefited from this are all the restaurants in Hollywood.
From all the dinners and
all the lunches,
the dinners and
lunch dinners,
all the
lunch meetings.
I will tell you that any somewhat valuable property has been pitched, unpitched, other people offering advice, people trying to get in on action. It's nonstop. And so these people, especially the Mattel people, will have had to endure an awful lot of lunches. So I think lunches are above the line until it's actually made. So no one talks about that.
Well, I'm wondering here if Mattel, and this is where I agree with you, Andre, when you said at the top of the story here when we started, that there might have been some pressure from Mattel for them to just let this go and get it out there so they can get something moving on it, because it has just sat there, in stasis for how long. And they're looking at how much money they're about to rake in for Barbie. And if there's any truth to the whole rights issues, whether it's just the entertainment rights or the rights as a whole, and Universal is going to eventually get them whenever that's probably what I'm saying is I see desperation on Mattel's part to be like, we need to make this movie now, or we're never going to be able to make it again. And we got to strike while the iron's hot, because Barbie is hot as fuck. So if we can do the same thing for He-Man, bingo. I'm sure somebody within
but if anyone's going to do the proper job of it, it's going to be Universal.
Maybe that, or they just need to hire Andre and I. Because that's it. If anybody out there from Mattel is listening, I'm going to tell you right now, from the shit I just learned about Ninja Turtles, the problem is you hired 2 fucking kids and Seth Rogen to make that movie. What the hell? I've got more experience than these kids, I swear to God. That's what I'm saying at this point. They might as well start picking us up and going, hey, you want to make this movie for us since we can't seem to get this shit right? Because guess what? It's not hard to make a He-Man movie. Just make it look like He-Man.
Yeah, they're making it hard. That's the issue.
All you got to do is take the basic outline that's in that 2000 series, make that into a movie.
Pretty much.
That's it.
Yeah. First three episodes, punch it up a little bit, boom, there you have your script.
And then that way, if it's a hit, you've got more story to pull from. As far as the look, make it look like Masters of the Universe Revelations did, for the most part, because that looks like the toys. Or the old series, Filmation, somewhere in between that and the Filmation series. Maybe you can throw in a little bit of the 2000 series, but I think Andre even agreed that we thought that was over-designed. Yeah. Right? That was the one thing Revelations got right, was the design. They amped up the original designs just a bit, but not like over the top. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. The story is there. It's not a hard story to do. It's a pretty simple story. And it has potential for
latest plan.
Well, not just that, but I mean the whole idea of the whole lore is already set. There is basically like a lore Bible for the story if you go with it.
Mm-hmm.
It has the potential to have prequels, spin-offs, sequels. If it works, don't worry about all that at first, but just make the first damn movie work. And that is what script is saying. Adam becomes He-Man, has to face Skeletor. That's the basic of the movie. That's all you need for a first movie. That's it.
Yeah. And Alan Oppenheimer's still alive, so have him voice
That's
Skeletor.
Right.
And if we can't get him, we got Tom.
Exactly.
I can fill in.
It's not difficult. I mean, they are overcomplicating it, and that has always been the problem, because it's been worked with the people who worked on it for all times, and people that haven't understood it, and so they have overcomplicated it, trying to make it into something they understand. But in so doing, they have made it into something there's no agreement upon inside of the studio and with other production partners, and it all falls apart. That's always been the way.
And they need to quit fucking around and get She-Ra back in the mix. Like, this is bullshit, the way these two are separated.
Yeah, they need to do that. I mean, the trickiest part is finding an actor who has a build or an ability to get a build that could be recognized as He-Man.
Yeah.
Because
well,
again,
it looks like what's this?
Schwarzenegger like.
Well, Zac Efron's getting ready.
Zac Efron is 5'6".
I know. Did you see those pictures of that wrestling movie he's going to be in or whatever? He looks just like He-Man. Did you see that?
He'd actually be better as a Wolverine because he's short and.
No, I know he's way too old for He-Man anyway, but I was just joking because he looks like he's like, you know, when those people get those weird surgeries to try and look like Barbie or Ken or whatever.
Yeah.
He looks like he's trying to become He-Man.
There's an X-Men character with a really short French Canadian super muscular character. I think is
Puck. Yep.
Yes.
It's from the Alpha Force.
It's Alpha Force. So I can always count on you, Script Doctor. So he would make a much better Puck, I think.
Yeah.
So there you go. You're a mensch.
Puck who's like team members with Vindicators, like this force field type guy.
Yep.
I'm
Aurora.
I'm aware of those heroes. Yeah. Oh my God. That looks like he's wearing a muscle suit as opposed to.
I know you might be.
In.
You know what I mean? Though, look at his like. It looks like he's like, I want to be He-Man. Make me look like He-Man.
Hair, especially with the hair. Yeah.
Yeah, I know, right? He's just like even making his face whiter with the steroids.
I'm as long as he doesn't look like Carrot Top, we're fine.
Oh God, yeah. Carrot Top looks like a veiny penis. Like
Carrot Top is a unique experience. Let me tell you.
I've heard some stories. I actually know somebody who slept with him, and she said he was the laziest lay she ever had. Yeah,
probably the quickest, right?
That too. Yes.
Well, I mean, if you're lazy, you got to be quick.
So here I am trying to start a Carrot Top shand, and it didn't work. Number 11.
So, Culture, you've had very little, it seems, to say on the He-Man front. Anything to add here before we move on to other things?
Yeah, I hope they don't make this project for a decade.
At this rate, they're not going to make it for 30 years.
Okay. Right. Well, but the point being is that it gives they won't have an opportunity to smother it with modernity, which I'm tired of. So
modernity.
You know what? They should hold on to all good properties until we pass through this terrible woke era.
Yeah.
And then bring all these back.
Call the intellectual property chastity belt.
Yes.
Can somebody draw that? Because I think I'd love to use that as like a thumbnail image.
But it's true, isn't it? Like every single time there's like an adaptation that is announced of something that we ordinarily would be excited about, we all collectively scream, "Oh God, no, not no!" Like wait 5 years.
Yes.
I know that's where I'm at, especially like with a Ninja Turtles. I'm just getting to this point where I'm just like, stop, just stop. And who makes these decisions? Why do you have kids that weren't even born when the
stop it.
2000
You're
series
just
came out.
breaking a vessel. I don't want to see
Oh
you
my
breaking a brain vessel.
God.
I mean, well, the sad fact of the nature is that there's a lot of IPs that have existed long before any of us have ever were born. And those people will have to be in charge of them one day too. So, I mean, for my sake, when it comes to the vetting process, it's like, okay, how much do you know about the concept of directing, story, all that type of stuff? And then it's like, all right, what do you know about Ninja Turtles? Nothing? Okay, go read something, go watch some stuff, come back a month later, prove that you can do this. And
Razorfist and I would have pitched a black and white animated Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movie that looked exactly like the original Eastman and Laird cartoon. It's like, if you're going to go to that extent, then just animate that.
I don't think you could go to that level of violence. I think
why not? It's PG-13. Fuck it.
The original Ninja Turtle comics were not PG-13.
You could get away with it. I could
But
do it.
I'm saying there's too great a history of. You probably could, but there's too great a history of it becoming PG in the cartoons. I mean, everybody's memory of it.
Seth Rogen is not getting. He's going, oh, I'm going to make them teenagers because nobody ever got into the teenage aspects. It's like, you dumb fuck. That's exactly what the 87 Turtles were. They amped up the teenage part of it. That was all they did. It was like, okay, what are kids into? Pizza and this and that and the other. Okay, well, that's what they threw in there. Sorry. I'm just, It's like, how do you not? We could have had something beautiful and gorgeous. Can you imagine that in your brain? This beautiful black and white pencil looking CGI animated.
Okay. So when Oppenheimer comes out, I'm going to go watch it. And because I studied to be a nuclear physicist, I'm going to do a Tom Connors on Oppenheimer. They did the entire insertion of the uranium U-234 completely wrong. Are they nuts? Don't they know how to insert this?
Actually, I'd watch the hell out of that. Yes.
Yes.
Do that.
I want to see Paul go off.
1 million views guaranteed.
Are they nuts? They can't handle U-233 like that.
Nuclear physicists react to Oppenheimer. Jesus, go for it.
All I know is that in 2 weeks' time from now, I'm going to be, fuck you, I was right, 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 because this movie is going to be garbage.
Yeah, but we should do that with Oppenheimer. Fuck you, I was right.
That's right.
Fuck you.
Well, Tom, you got to record a video by yourself with your Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle action figures, remaking the movie or retelling the movie like you did with Motu.
Oh, I probably will. Because that's what I'm going to force myself to see, because I've had, I don't know, at least close to 50 messages or posts on Twitter. I can't wait to see your review. I want to know what you think of it. What do you think of it? Every time something comes up, I get it. You know, I have no problem with it. It's like, I know people want to know what I think, but I doubt there's not even a monochrome of a chance, I think, at this point, of me going into this movie with one expectation and coming out and going, you know what? It wasn't that bad. Because I've seen so much of it now, especially the last clip with the retelling of the story with Jackie Chan. It's like, you find a Chinese guy who can barely speak English to play a Japanese rat. What the fuck are you doing? Like, I just,
That's right.
Sorry.
They used the wrong screwdriver. Someone just posted that in the chat.
Especially when, help me out here, Culture, the actor from Bullet Train, the old guy. I'm going to tell you a story. Just a little story. Oh, yeah, the guy who played Scorpion. That should be Splinter.
Yes, that is Splinter. That is Splinter. He is Splinter. That is perfect.
Oh, I could totally see that in a Ninja Turtle movie. It's like, sit down, Raphael. I want to tell you a story. No, it's just a little story.
Don't forget, it's Raphael.
Oh, that's the other Leonardo. Ugh.
I actually laughed at that. I'm sorry. I did laugh.
I just don't understand why all four brothers have different last names.
Exactly. It's just dumb. But let's talk about something that isn't dumb, and that is helping your fellow man. And our coworker and friend here at the channel, Pablo, is having a rough time. Isn't that right, Andre?
That is indeed right, because his mother is having a rough time. We have spoken about this before, so if you head down to the description, you will find the link for his fundraiser right there. The background is that his mother is having some medical challenges, let's put it this way, after both and a car crash several years ago, which was further compounded by a mandatory medical procedure, let's put it that way, that didn't go tremendously well and further compounded the issues. And she now needs surgery. And of course, we all want to see this go as well as it possibly can. So please, if you can help out Pablo, let's get all the way there. We are reaching the goal of little more than $3,000. So please, if you can, help chip in. If that means you have to choose between sending us a super chat and supporting Pablo, then please lay off the super chat, support Pablo instead. We would greatly appreciate that. So please, link is in the description. I'm sure some of the mods will be able to share the fundraiser in the comments here as well, and I will also be pinning it in the to the top of the comment section. So everyone, please help out Pablo. That would be much appreciated.
Yes, indeed. Please do that, folks. And then we're going to do a few more super chats here. And then we got a story here that I think might be interesting, Andre, real quick. We're going to cover that Six just sent me. KN Kareen says, they also said they made Ken a douchebag. However, Ryan Gosling is such a good actor. He plays it well. Well, this is the thing, Kareen, because they released this clip like yesterday or the day before. And it was right after I had heard this thing going around that Ken is the supposed villain in the film. And it's a clip of Will Ferrell talking to Barbie, and she says something about Ken. He's like, we don't care about Ken, and stuff like that. So it's like, okay, so if Ken's the bad guy, then how is that the case? If the bad guys don't care about Ken, then how is he the bad? It just, that part doesn't make sense to me. But again, I want to see the movie. I want to see how it plays out, see how it resolves. But I mean, Ryan Gosling was a perfect choice. So yeah.
This is one thing that had me worried in the trailers, the scene where Ken is meeting a female doctor, and he's like, I want to talk to a real doctor, because he doesn't believe that she can be a doctor. To me, that was bad.
Which makes no sense if that's true, because Barbie is a doctor too.
Exactly.
Yeah, even in Barbie world, he's treated by a Barbie doctor. I'm wondering if maybe there's some sort of revelation that happens when they find out that Ken and Barbie were named after the brother and sister of, or daughter and son of the co-founder of Mattel, and implied to be siblings.
That would be lame.
Romantic partners.
That would be very, very lame, and really feed into this whole thing. Like, again, if that's the way the movie ends, I'll definitely call it out, because that's bullshit. Last Corporal Waffle says, Life Size with Lindsay Lohan, a great Barbie movie. Okay, it was with her. Yep. Okay. Yep. Ram Bam says, my idea for a Barbie movie, it's a Philip K. Dick style reimagining where a young woman is under a delusion that she is Barbie, or is she? Well, as long as it's not directed by Ridley Scott, sure.
Go Kafkaesque and have a human girl turned into a plastic doll.
Get Blomkamp on this.
Yeah, and keep the budget in check if you're going to do that. No 300 million for that baby.
No. The Kaiju Gamer says, remember Snow White, fairest of them all?
I have seen things in a Barbie mansion that you could not believe.
Me too.
Yeah. And what Dakaiju's referring to here is, I think, the fact that we have Gal Gadot as the queen.
Mm-hmm. Well, she's tanned.
I know, but I mean, the fact that she's supposed to be Snow White's supposed to be technically prettier than her. We had this,
and they had that problem with the Kristen Stewart one. Okay, so Charlize Theron is uglier than Kristen Stewart. Yeah.
Really? We were talking about this on Toxic Femme the other night, and that's what we were saying. They needed to find somebody who clearly was a great looking woman at one time, but she's older now, so you get an older actress to play it. Gal Gadot, why is she playing the stepmother? Like, it makes no sense whatsoever.
Susan Sarandon would have been
exactly somebody like that.
Ruth Buzzy.
Ruth Buzzy. Yeah, sure. If Betty White's still alive, get her. No.
Yeah. They have that habit of making the evil queen more beautiful than the.
That's a problem, and that's it. Yeah.
Actually, I can see why they would be doing it, and I see the sense of it. Because here's like the thing: if you won't go with someone who is way old, like a Betty White or something like that, she's had years.
I was joking,
years to realize, or even someone who is like we now see, yes, oh yeah, this woman, she was super attractive 15 years ago. This is already someone that has had years and years and years and years to get used to the fact that she's no longer the prettiest woman in the land. Her looks have left her behind. Gal Gadot, right now, by the time this movie comes out, she's right around that age where, and I don't mean any offense to this, but that she is at the point where a younger woman suddenly is going to become more attractive. How about we put it that way?
But the problem you have here is most people are saying that as beautiful as this woman is that's playing Rachel Ziegler or whatever her name is, she's not prettier than Gal Gadot. That's the problem most people are saying. So that's where I'm with script on this, where I'm like, I think you had to go with like, maybe if not Susan Sarandon, somebody that old or like a Meryl Streep type age, but like somewhere in between there.
Well,
like,
here's the other flaw. Sorry to interrupt, Tom, but here's the other flaw. With regards to the story of Snow White, it's not that Maleficent or the evil stepmother is old. It's the fact that she starts seeing the imperfections in herself because she's talking to the mirror,
Right.
who is the most fairest of all. She's the one who still is beautiful by objectively from all accounts, but because she knows she's older, she only sees the imperfections, and because of that,
Stop making
Snow
sense.
White is
But
that's
Andre is correct. Andre
No, I
is
got
correct.
you, I
And if
got
we're
you,
going to
yeah.
update the movie, then we need to have Andrew Tate as the prince, who goes, like some bitch in her 40s. I mean, she's done. Like you're done. You want
hit the
someone
wall.
of my stature is going to be wanting
Yeah.
someone in the 20 to 24 range, right?
Exactly, that's my point. And like, yeah, Tom, like I get what everyone is saying about Gal Gadot, but here's like the thing: you are thinking of one of her appearances as Wonder Woman, filmed a few years ago, with a ton of makeup. Gal Gadot without makeup, right now in this moment, you see her and Rachel Ziegler next to each other with no makeup or anything like that. You then have to choose who is the more attractive, this young woman
Gal
or
Gadot.
this older woman in her 40s. And yeah, of course, for us men in our 40s, 50s, stuff like that, we may still say Gal Gadot, but you get a Tate in there. He's gonna, just like Paul said, he's not gonna be merciful. He's gonna be very clear. Like this 40-year-old woman has been. And that's exactly what she needs to be in the mirror as well. It needs to be like one day to the other. She feels like amazing. Here's this little wrinkle, don't mean anything. Who's the fairest in the world? Oh, it's not you, you old hag. Because that's how she's going to be feeling.
And if they play it like they are talking about as modern, modern women, and when do you stop being desirable to the 1%ers, then that would ironically work, because there's a lot of conversation around that on the interwebs, right? But I mean, I could also see if Gadot played it like Gloria Swanson played, what was the movie? The Sunset Boulevard. See, that would be cool.
Well, see, that's kind of more along with the lines of what I was thinking, is that kind of thing where she's getting to that point where she was, and then, this up and coming, and it's not even the fact that it could still be Gal Gadot or whoever, however you pronounce it. But the other thing is that the casting of Rachel, this is another point where her casting is a problem, is what I'm saying, is she's not, in most people's opinions, and again, not my personal opinion necessarily, but in most people's opinions, better looking than Gal Gadot.
She
Gal
needs
Gadot, as Paul says.
A sandwich. Every time I see her, I go, here, please, can you have a bagel? Something.
No, because I mean, honestly, I see some people bring up like certain other actresses and stuff, and I get the argument you guys are making, and I totally understand. That's why I was joking with quit making sense.
She should go get a nosh.
But I still agree that in the fact that she was the wrong choice for this. You're not getting paid for him. Scott Hughes says, wasn't there a bad Kristen Stewart Snow White film? Of course, we spoke on this before we got to your super chat. I apologize, Scott. But yeah, and that one had the same kind of issue as what we were saying. But I also brought up, that was where I was bringing up Death on the Nile, because that has a similar storyline in it. And in that, it's more believable because the girl is still, roughly the same age and all that kind of business, but she's clearly not as attractive as Gal Gadot, right? Like, that's the thing, is it's believable there. It's harder to believe the story here if that's the case. But I see where you're coming from, Andre, and Script made a good point.
It's a good
So
point. I think
yeah.
it's a very modern take if you can get there, but you know, us oldsters also want a woman with a brain in their heads, and that's what makes
Yeah.
Gal Gadot attractive, I think.
But here's something fun for a few minutes, guys. You want to take a look at the nonstop test screenings, and this is what I was hearing about. Six just sent me this quest to build a better Aquaman sequel. 3 reshoots, 2 Batmans, and nonstop test screenings.
Whew. Wow.
To some insiders,
3 movies.
It is. To some insiders, the fact that Warner's is willing to keep spending money to make the films better shows that studio has faith in Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, James Wan's sequel to $1 billion hit. No, I think it's just because they've spent this much fucking money on this bastard and 3 regime changes have happened. That's what happened to this movie. But anyway, going into the story here, the sequel,
Thank you, John S. Meshuggah.
Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom is in uncharted waters in the next several weeks, potentially setting its course for ill or good. The sequel to Warner Brothers' 2018 DC movie is coming off a round of reshoots that occurred in New Zealand in mid-June and involved stars including Jason Momoa and Patrick Wilson, according to multiple sources. This is the 3rd round of reshoots for the movie, directed by James Wan, that is almost an unprecedented number for a movie of this scale. Well, unless it's The Flash. Lost Kingdom has faced several headwinds as it swims towards its December 20th release date. It was postponed several times. It originally was due to bow in December of 2022, and like its DC movie brother, The Flash, its making has now spanned 3 regimes at Warner's, as I just said. The movie was greenlit under Warner regime led by former boss Toby Emmerich and his lieutenant, DC Films head Walter Hamada, as a sequel to Aquaman, which proved to be a surprise hit and stands as the highest grossing DC movie of all time, only with inflation at $1.148 billion. Principal photography wrapped in January of 2022, but by summer, Emmerich was out. Hamada soon followed, both casualties of a merger that created Warner Brothers Discovery. The movie was in the middle of post-production and the beginning of test screenings that summer, I reported on that. While timeline is not clear from summer 22 to the beginning of 2023, The Lost Kingdom underwent 2 more rounds of reshoots and held several uninspiring test screenings. And what did I tell you guys?
Oh yeah, we've all heard it's been terrible.
After 1 round of test screenings, new Warner film bosses Mike DeLuca and Pam Abdy got involved as they were running point on DC until Warner Brothers Discovery CEO David Zaslav could find a permanent DC boss to replace Hamada. Sources say that in the fall, Abdy took a strong creative stance and got involved in the editing of one cut. However, when that version tested, it scored lower than the previous version. Okay, so that's the one I was probably told about where it's still, the movie just fucking sucks. And led to another round of reshoots. Different visions of executives notwithstanding, it's unclear that the problems were, but one insider said that underlying issue of the story clarity has been an ongoing concern. Also at issue, Batman. Hamada wanted Michael Keaton's version of the character to be akin to Sam. Bingo. This also confirms our reporting as well, Andre. Michael Keaton's version of the character to be akin to Samuel Jackson's Nick Fury in the Marvel movies, an elder statesman who could pop in various films, including the now shelved Batgirl, as well as The Lost Kingdom. But shifting release dates muddled things. At one point, The Lost Kingdom was set to open in March of 2023, several months before Keaton's return in the June 2023 Flash. So late in 2022 of July, 2 months after Abdy and DeLuca took over, Ben Affleck joined a round of reshoots. We reported on that as Bruce Wayne to replace a scene Keaton shot. We also reported on that. But then the movie was moved again, this time to after Flash, putting Affleck's appearance in question. We also talked about that. The latest cut of the film features neither version of The Dark Knight, according to the sources, as new DC heads James Gunn and Peter Safran do not want to promise a movie universe that will not come to fruition, nor tie down excessively to past failures. Told y'all it was pretty chaotic, one source said. And some of the chaos may not have been the studio's or filmmakers' fault. Some of the calendar moves were due to overlooked visual effects houses, a phenomenon that occurred during the pandemic and affected both Flash and Lost Kingdom, causing a cascade of release dates being pushed. More test screenings of cuts occurred in February and again in April. By this time, Safran, a producer on the first Aquaman as well as Lost Kingdom, had become co-head of the newly created DC Studios along with Gunn. It is unclear how Safran's transition shifted the movie's fortunes, if at all. Insiders say that the filmmakers were in the dumps by the screening, never-ending post-production process and waterlogged test scores. However, the skies may have cleared with the new reshoots. I doubt it. Gunn is said to have weighed in on the most recent cut, and the leadership approved a 5-day reshoot. Sources say the shoot went so well that Wan and company completed what they needed in 4. And to some, the fact that Warner is willing to keep spending money to make the film better shows that the studio has faith in the Lost Kingdom. February, according to sources, the filmmakers of Blue Beetle, the other remaining DC movie that was made during the AT&T era and comes out in August, asked for 2 days of additional shooting, but the studio turned them down. Safran had also been a producer on Beetle before his ascension to the executive ranks.
Say that one more time.
At which part? The Blue Beetle part?
Yeah, the Blue Beetle part, the rejected reshoots.
In February, according to sources, the filmmakers of Blue Beetle, the other remaining DC movie that was made during the AT&T era and comes out in August, asked for 2 days of additional shooting, but the studio turned them down. Safran had also been a producer on Beetle before his ascension. Yeah. It means they're not putting no more money into that one.
Very interesting.
And I think they almost had to with Lost Kingdom because they probably had to tie up any loose ends, is my guess. Lost Kingdom is already an expensive production. It was greenlit at $205 million budget and shot during the pandemic, which was burdensome expense on tentpole productions. Additionally, every frame of the movie involves visual effects. Another major cost, the reshoot. Every frame of the movie? Really? Wow. The reshoots have only raised that overall budget. Lost Kingdom is the final movie of the DC Extended Universe, which launched a decade ago with Zack Snyder's Man of Steel. Its December release date approaches as Warner DC movies are flopping at an unmatched level. October's Black Adam, March's Shazam, Fury of Gods, also produced by Safran, and last month's The Flash, were money losers in their theatrical runs, though Gunn and Safran plan on rebooting DC films with Superman Legacy. That won't be out until July 2025. No one wants another miss, and there are questions as to how much bruising the DC movie brands can take. The filmmakers and studios know the value that the smart post-production can bring. First Aquaman was also facing turbulent waves and is said to have found its footing only in post when a new ending was burnished and the movie tightened to a zipper 2 hours and 23 minutes. That's zipper? As for Juan, he was upbeat when he spoke to THR in April. As he continued to work on the film, the movie has something to talk about climate change, but it's still a fun action fantasy movie. So yeah, chances are this movie's going to suck. And I mean, they're pretty much telegraphing that this is the end of the DC universe here, guys. Anything to say about that?
Well, my first thought is that...
history lesson, I guess.
Yeah. Is that I think it's weird that they are still willing to throw so much more good money after bad money on this. More days of reshoots. Really, it should just cut away cameos and put the shit out and be done with it. It's going to flop anyway. What I think is really weird is that the filmmakers behind Blue Beetle requested not 5, but a mere 2 days of reshoots, and it got declined. So they're not willing to throw money after the Blue Beetle. To me, that is a bigger story. Why? What was their reasoning for that? Like, no, we don't want to throw more money after this, or we disagree that this change is needed. We think the movie's perfectly fine.
I think I know why.
That I would like to know.
I think that because they're not expecting Blue Beetle. If Blue Beetle makes any money, it'll be a surprise. They are still hoping and praying that this can make some money. Because Aquaman 1 did. So if they can just make this movie work, that's all that matters. The other side of it is I really think they're just tying up loose ends. Like there's probably some connective tissue they had to shoot to get other things out. Script probably knows more what I'm talking about because, like, you know, when you start excising certain things, you might have 2 or 3 scenes then that are completely, you can't use them in the edit there are now. So you have to shoot 1 or 2 other things that kind of connect 2 or 3 other tissues so he can just get out of a plot point or something and cut all these other things out. Sometimes that's how you.
Yeah. Like we got again, like this is a movie now at this point. It's literally being rewritten and reshot day to day. That's really bad for a studio. It's going to bloat the expenses for it. At this point here, just like with the Flash, they're just trying to make sure that they lose less money on this. There's no way they're making money on this, and they know it.
You know, it'd be hilarious because we all know what Amber Heard's role is in this movie. She's going to be in a hospital bed pregnant through most of the movie. Maybe if they don't want any loose ends with like the baby thing, watch them kill her in the initial thing. So like she's just out of the movie altogether after that. That would be hilarious.
Like they kill her on the way to the hospital to give birth, and
or whatever it was that put like instead of her getting put in a coma, she dies. Like, whatever happens to her in the movie, because yeah, at this point, like this is a fucking disaster. It's just a fucking disaster. This movie ain't gonna go anywhere near the first one at all. This will be lucky to make more money than Black Adam at the end of the day. I bet at this point, I think all interest has gone away. Unless you guys think anything different. You think Momoa is still hot enough to get ladies to go see this?
My feeling is Momoa has got more interest from the general public. They just like him. I think in many ways they like him more than The Rock, even though he's not as big a star. And for certain, I think now that all the receipts have come in, and I didn't think at the time it was going to be as big a deal, but I think Ezra Miller really was the key to bringing down The Flash. Again, people will go to bad movies, and there was really no reason to see Ezra Miller. No one cares. No one wants him. He's a side character, and plus he's unsavory.
Yep. And Indiana Jones officially has made more money, or at least pulled in more money at the worldwide box office than The Flash.
And you could probably thank Harrison Ford for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Momoa, I think people like. They just they like his shtick. Number 13.
He's got a good.
Have we even got a full trailer for this fucking movie yet?
No, we haven't gotten anything for this.
No, we haven't gotten anything. We just got that little snippet from that behind the scenes bit. That's it. Yeah, you're right.
We didn't got the teaser.
Yeah, we've gotten jack all.
Probably because they have no idea what story they're telling with Aquaman at this point.
Oh Lord, they probably secretly reshot this movie 6 times already. But anyhow, we got Darius Munchausen in the house. I'm betting he sent us some popcorn. He does like to do that. Let me check in here and see. Yes, he did. Thank you so much for that, Darius. We appreciate that. Let's see here. We have Accident Seller who says, as a kid, I had great fun with my sister's Barbies, running over them with monster trucks and Transformers. Ultra Magnus never got old. So satisfying. Okay. Tommy Reviews says everyone forgets the TV miniseries forgets about, I think is what he means. Yeah. 10th Kingdom, which I much rather watch than anything live action Disney. Has the panel ever heard of it? Sounds familiar.
Kingdom.
This
is like this miniseries, right? I like the music. I believe like the theme music was like this woman singing "I'm wishing on a star" or something, and it had Al Bundy in a role as like a gypsy king or something.
Oh, Ed O'Neill.
Yeah, I remember thinking it was pretty decent, but I don't remember any more of it right now.
Yeah. Paul's leaving us soon, so we got to get to your super chats here. Wolven Weaver says, I'm not racist. I don't even watch NASCAR. Oh, really bad joke. I thought you'd appreciate that.
Bad jokes are good.
Bad jokes can be good jokes. Let's see here. I don't have 6 today, so I don't know. Here we go. ActionCom, go ahead and read that one, Andre, while I look for more for Paul.
ActionCom says, to Paul, since we are on the subject, regarding the YouTube algorithm, which is more algorithm friendly, gay kaken of yum or gay bach bagels?
I'm pretty much at the end of my Yiddish. All I can say is Montreal bagels rule.
Ah, there you go. There you go. And then Glade Riven wonders, anybody getting Babylon 5 complete series on DVD?
Yes.
Paul, you surely are getting this.
Yes. Because to this date, I still have not seen every episode. I've never seen a television series, especially here in Canada, that got bounced around days and networks. And I even called the network. Guys, what the hell are you guys doing? Oh, we're not going to show season 4. Why? Like I still have not seen every episode. So that's the main reason for getting the complete series.
Well,
I thought you were a fan.
Oh, yeah. I'm a big
That's why I
fan.
brought that one up. Thank you, Glade Riven. And with that, Paul has to leave us.
Yes.
So you're out of Yiddish.
I'm done. No more Yiddish.
What you got going on?
Not much. I'm writing an extended piece on what's wrong with what I think is wrong with Strange New Worlds and other similar writing, going back to what I had talked about in previous episodes on writers have completely lost the concept of what subtext is. And they don't know how to, they only know how to write the subtext and they don't know how to write around it. Which is what the key to good and interesting writing is. So anyways, it's going to be as boring as I've just made it sound. So stay tuned for that, everyone. So that's it. I'm working on that. That's fun. I will talk to you till later.
When am I getting another damn TV guide?
It's coming. I'm working on them too. They take a long time. So you're my Booby and Zeta.
Well, if you ever need help, let me know. Especially when I get the new editing system up, man. That's gonna be a sweet monster beast. I'm going to show you a tech video. You'll be like, oh, no, I don't know. It's an MSI, I guess.
Oh,
Culture
MSI
said it's a good
cards.
Yeah, he said it's a
MSI.
good computer. Yeah.
Yeah, but it depends on what your graphics card is. And anyway,
it was a pretty nice one, I think.
It's going to be just fine, Chato.
Culture Casino knows.
Well, no, I'm just saying. I mean, it was. I was actually impressed with, its makeup. So,
nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Everyone, thank you very much as always. I am going to put together my trailer list of medium-sized movies as Andre has requested, and I'll send that to you earlier so you guys can watch it, and then we can, if we have time for it on Friday, we'll watch it, right? Watch it.
Fantastic.
Talk about it. Okay. Bye, everyone. Thank you. Have a good
day.
wonderful Wednesday.
Take care of yourself. All right. We got a 2-parter from bass player Iffy. 2011 Iffy, sorry. Says, not speaking for everyone in my generation, but being a millennial, for me, there just aren't any must-see tentpole films coming out anymore. And then he goes on to say, Oppenheimer is the first film in over a decade I'm legitimately excited for, though I am an exception in that I was bored with Marvel by the end of phase 1. See, that's just it. I totally understand where you're coming from. And I noticed this, and this is why I agree with Paul, who just happened to leave, but I'm sure he would have loved to hear again. But yeah, like my kid is a prime example. I'm sure there's other kids that are prime examples of this generation that they just aren't into movies. They're not being, they don't have the hype to want to go see these movies anymore. Even if they did in the first place. My kid's more into video gaming and stuff like that. So, I mean, especially with some of these games, they're more epic than most of these movies are anyhow. So I can understand why people would get more involved and invested in that than a movie anyhow. But at the end of the day, I get it. They need to start making things that you guys want to see too. They may not be for me, but you guys like them, so they just got to make them. Sooner or later, they'll get there. They'll figure it out. But it'll take some time. But yeah, anybody got anything to add to that?
No.
That sums it up.
What's your first thought? Says, to be honest, at the end of the day, was Netflix ever going to do a live He-Man live action justice? Well, here's the thing. I don't know how much of Goyer's idea was still going to be a part of this. I don't know what kind of fans the Nee brothers were, so I can't speak to that part of it. But was it really going to ever probably be good? No. Because they overcomplicate everything. I mean, really, it probably would have been just like it would have felt probably like a cheap Zack Snyder He-Man movie. And I mean, I don't know what this Nee Brothers like. I'm just going off of Goyer's writing.
Yeah.
We're not, it's just, I'm sure it would have had some stupid, convoluted bullshit. And if the whole idea of making He-Man into an Earthling again, that's a dumb idea to begin with. He's half Earthling if you want to go by the Filmation.
Yeah, his mom was an astronaut.
Yeah, Filmation thing. But like, that's just it. I mean, otherwise, I have no, I don't like that. I just assume his mom and dad be from Eternia and Earth not be a freaking part of it. Earth shouldn't be a part of it. Just leave Earth out. Eternia is its own thing. And that's what helps movies is when you build a universe of their own. And it would make up for us feeling so cheated back in the day by the Canon Masters of the Universe movie when they're like, Christ, all this movie's on Earth. They're literally in Eternia for what? 10 minutes, Andre? Something like that? 15 tops?
10, yeah. It's like
Somewhere in there.
And really, it's just a desert. It's not even Eternia.
No, but they had this amazing set for Castle Grayskull, and they didn't even get to utilize it, really. It was a dual level. It took up both of the, I think, 007 stages, if I'm not mistaken. Like, they actually...
Pinewood?
Yeah, like, they opened up the bay doors, and, like, it went into the other studio. Like, it was a whole... Like, that whole corridor, that's there. That's real. The only parts that are fake is in the very, very wide shot. The pit part of it is a matte painting. But all those levels there are real. That's a built set. They built it over 2 stages.
And they shot in there for only a couple of days.
Exactly. It was a big waste of money. Yeah. Nothing. And they were tearing it apart as they were trying to film the last fight scene. That's why it slowly gets darker and darker in the fight. Anyway, Larry's been here for 20 months. It says, have a shrimp, Ken, on the Barbie. Pilgrim Media says, can I have the lenses during the yard sale? Sure. Dash Attack says, Disney should sell American Dragon, Kim Possible, and Gargoyles next to Netflix. Well, did you hear Kenneth Branagh is supposedly attached to a Gargoyles project? Has anybody else heard about this?
I did not. That sounds cool.
Yeah, it's moving forward. I think the news broke day before yesterday. But yeah, the Branagh news is surprising, but that's fantastic. I want to see this like now.
And I wonder, because I mean, his new Perot movie or whatever is through Fox, which is now, 20th Century, which is now Disney. So yeah, maybe he made a deal. They're like, make us a third one of those, and you'll get to do whatever, or do this, and we'll let you do your third movie. Maybe. I mean, here's the thing with Branagh, though, is he can take a lot of liberties with shit. Sometimes it's okay. Sometimes it's way the fuck off.
Yeah, but some of the mythology from Gargoyles fits right into what he loves most about theater.
Well, that's good. Because that's the thing. As long as he can have, tons of scenes of showing off, he'll be fine.
Yeah,
like
as long as
he
he
loves
gets to put his,
Shakespeare. He loves Arthurian legends, things of that nature that fit right into Gargoyles.
Exactly, and that was my point exactly. As long as he is able to put some Shakespearean stuff in there, and in a movie like that it's going to be just fine.
I couldn't believe he couldn't resist putting himself front and center in the Thor movie. I'm serious. Like, that's the thing. It's like nobody wants to put Branagh on a movie but him. Like, he's a great actor, don't get me wrong, but I'm sure he's a pain in the ass to fucking deal with as an actor. That's probably why.
It's because
I'm surprised he didn't cast himself. Yeah, I'm surprised he didn't cast himself in the father role, though, actually, to be honest with you.
Oh, as Odin? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really surprised.
Because he probably didn't want to commit to multiple pictures.
That could be, or he just knew it was going to be that much of an undertaking. There was no way he was going to be able to do both. That could very well be, because I mean, he's not a dumb guy. I love his Frankenstein.
Yeah,
unapologetically.
Great Frankenstein.
I mean, it has its moments of batshit crazy. That's the thing. It has Kenneth Branagh. It's the same thing with Murder on the Orient Express. I loved it, but it's got these what the fuck moments in it. And that's what Branagh does. He's got, every once in a while, you just be like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, the prime example is them doing that whole, like, first of all, changing the character's race was fine. That was fine. Nothing wrong with that. But then why are you having this big charade in front of everybody with the German character who isn't really German, Ray and the black guy with the whole wine bit when it's like they're all in on this together. Who gives a shit? Like, is this just for Branagh's character or what? Or is it just to, act woke? Because that is like one of the wokest scenes I've ever seen in the movies. And at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. Like, it's like, so there's a dumb moment there. And then there's a few in Frankenstein and whatnot. But like, other than that, like he loves to sit there and just make these. I can see him doing this very Shakespearean stuff, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, maybe. Has Gargoyles been remastered yet for Disney Plus? I don't remember.
I don't think so.
I don't think so. But
That's a shame. I can't believe they haven't put that on Blu-ray yet. That would sell like hotcakes.
Yeah.
It would sell like the Batman series. Maybe not as many copies, but it definitely would sell like it. Because I remember that was a very popular show around that same time. Well, what do you guys think out there about Kenneth Branagh taking on Gargoyles? Do you think it's a good choice? Do you think it's a bad choice? I see Megs was not on board for that. Culture, you haven't said a whole lot about it.
I actually said I would. Are we talking about Gargoyles still? Because I'm looking forward to that if it's Branagh. Yeah. No, I mean, I think I made that quite clear when the news broke. I think it was 2 days ago when we heard we were getting this film. I don't
know if you and I have talked about it though on the stream. No, I remember posting it, but yeah,
I'm stoked for this. I mean, if we get this out in the world in a live action form, this is massive potential if it's done properly. Just massive.
Oh, they're saying giant freaking robot is the source. If that's true, I didn't even look that far. Oh yeah, giant freaking robot.
Always check the source.
That's gonna pull all the wind out of those sails. Then
absolutely.
You deflated my balloon. Why?
I could see it though. I could see Disney doing that though.
I think Branagh would be a good pick for
yeah. I could see it. It's believable after Thor. Yeah. And that's what I said. I could see them going, yeah, we'll let you do your third movie for, the Perot character as long as you do Gargoyles for us or something like that. I could see him doing that at Disney. Because I didn't even know that was coming out until like the other day. I'm like, wait a minute, what the hell? We got a third movie coming out? They haven't advertised that very well. It comes out in September.
Really?
Huh. Yeah. Yeah, it's the Halloween Party, but it's A Haunting in Venice is what they changed the title to.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's trailer's actually kind of brilliant how they did it. They make it look like it's a ghost story movie, and then at the very, very end is when they show Branagh, and you realize, oh, okay, that's what this is. Okay, kind of thing.
Oh, that's clever. I like that.
Yeah. But anyhow, like they totally sell it as a horror film at first. Yeah, you're like, maybe that's why. I mean, I may have seen the trailer and didn't even put two and two together before, and just didn't pay attention at the end or something. But anyway, what's your first thought? We did get this one already. Okay. Where did we leave off here? We left off with Megs. Here we are. Meg sends in a whopping $20. Thank you, Megs. At the end of the day, every movie is going to be made for everyone. Isn't going to be made for everyone. Exactly. I don't like horror. Others do. It's okay to have diversity of films. I guess for whatever reason, it's not okay now. And by the way, I'm not defending it. No, well, this is kind of what I'm saying and this is Hollywood's problem right now, is they're trying too hard to make all these expensive, bloated, $200-300 million movies. And if you're making a movie that big, you have to make it 4-quadrant, meaning it has to be for everyone. And that is a problem. There used to be a time when you just used to make movies and they would have an audience specifically for them. But the beauty is sometimes they find a broader audience than what it's made for, right? Like Jaws. I mean, look at Jaws. I mean, Jaws can be categorized in several different ways and it works on so many different levels. But at the end of the day, it's really nothing more than just a man versus beast horror movie. It's no different than any other B movie, but it had a different kind of appeal to the public at that time. And it was the thing that the public was looking for. And it just caught on like wildfire. Same thing could be said about Sound of Freedom, right? Another film in a sense that nobody saw coming. And it not necessarily was a movie anybody was asking for, but at a time when we've had nothing but bloated superhero movies and Mission Impossible type movies and Fast and Furious and Transformer type movies, a little movie like that is getting everybody's attention right now because it's making them feel something. And that's another thing too, is these movies used to get us excited. Like that's why I'm living vicariously through you guys with this Barbie thing, seeing you get all excited for it. It's palpable, right? Like I miss that. And you know, maybe we'll get back to it someday, but it's going to take a while. And you guys have got anything to say on that otherwise?
No, I think
all
you
around.
did it.
And yes, it's true. Jaws was an accident. And that's where I've argued that, yeah, it would not be the same movie if that damn shark worked.
Right, but see, the creativity that was required to make that great. Yeah, you know, that is always the argument for not spending nearly as much money on these films. And I think Mags is right, but to a certain extent. But you can make a 4-quadrant film that appeals to everybody. I mean, there are examples of it. The problem is,
like Mario Brothers and such. But yeah,
exactly. But the problem is exactly as she describes. I mean, you know, they're spending tentpole money on everything, which really is irresponsible. And like I said, I mean, if they were truly trying to be risk averse, they should have gone with what, you know, Paul and I talked about at the beginning of the show. You make a bunch of great mid-level mid-budget films. Heck, you go back to making some B and C movies, mix those in. And I'm not talking about just horror. And you know, I understand, you know, people's aversion to that. But if you would like, rom-coms are cheap. You can make a cheap rom-com. You just have to hire somebody who's funny. I mean, that's the only thing that was missing from No Hard Feelings was it wasn't funny. I mean, it had funny moments, but it wasn't funny, and it also had a terrible ending. And Script and I'll disagree on that till the end of time, but it is what it is. So I'm done.
There you go. No, you're fine. I was just checking through some messages because Six just sent me a tweet here from Greg Weisman, who is one of the creators.
He's one of the original writers and creators of.
He's thinking it's flat out not true. So another strike against not Bad Robot, Giant Freaking Robot. So there you go. There you go, kids. Sucks. But you know, that's one series that I know that there's always like a rumor every once in a while that Disney's going to do a live action version of it. It never happens. Accident Seller says, speaking of Winnie the Pooh, me when horny equals Tigger. Me post cashew clarity Eeyore. Story of my life, man. I hear you. People always say I'm Eeyore because I come in, I'm like, hello. How's everybody doing? Nopology? Is that how you say that? Nopology?
That's a cool name.
Yeah. With Disney race swapping all the white people for black people, what are your thoughts of a live action adaptation of Disney? I'm not going there. Not going there. This has been a very popular meme, sir. Yeah, I don't think that would work out well for them. Markson 117B says Bambi is live action like Love and Death and Robots. Yeah. Mexican Iron Man says, damn it. I literally logged on to the show 2 minutes ago, and it's the first thing I hear about freaking Alf.
Hey, Mikey.
If that'll tell you where this came in the show. Ryan Benoit says, that's a pretty cool icon there. I like that. It says, please give us a barbarian He-Man with lethal villains like the original mini comics and keep Kevin Smith the hell away from any future Motu production. I could not agree with the last part more, because it would be nice to be able to like Kevin Smith again. Because I never hated him like everybody else did. But no, I agree. He really fucked that up big time. But no, yeah, you could do a PG-13, a little bit harder edged He-Man, no problem. I think the 2000 series really captured that really well. Where
it did perfect.
Yeah, where you had the villains were able to, unlike the original TV series, which, frankly, if you watch it, most people don't realize He-Man never punched anybody.
Nope, never. He
never
punched
hurt anybody.
He punched tanks.
He punched walls, tanks, trees, anything that's non-living. Robots were fine.
He would cut rope and let the bad guy like Trapjaw like drive away into a wall or something.
Yeah. Like he would never actually physically harm anybody, if you notice. And because they were very keen to keep an eye on that shit because they knew they were under a microscope. But by the time you get to the 2000 series, that was literally made for our generation. So it was a lot more edgy.
Oh, yeah.
So, Yeah.
Nearly kicked off Skeletor's jaw in that one episode.
Oh, well, the whole setup is just great. I mean, and it makes sense from the start, this whole half brother thing. I mean, yeah, it's got a little bit of the Thor Loki thing going on there, but it works. And, you know, having that whole background, and it gives a reason for everybody's kind of, and I wish this is where they got to fix She-Ra being part of it. Because I do love the background story between Skeletor,
and
you know,
Randor.
and Randor, and then adding in, you know, the Horde being like worse than Skeletor kind of thing. Like, I like that aspect, right? Because there's it changes the dichotomy up a little bit, and you have, like, you know, the Horde has been banished for all this time, and Skeletor is now the big bad or whatever. That's kind of how you could do it. It's how you got to kind of set this whole thing up, and not having the twins be a part of it, to me, is a big disservice to the story, right? Because that makes
the theory is important to it with that. The theory is the place that Hordak was like banished to. And so now this innocent planet is living under his tyrannical rule while he's just trying to make it back to Eternia, right? If I'm not mistaken,
basically
that's like the angle they were going for.
And the other thing is, that's what makes She-Ra a little bit more of a complicated character, an interesting character in a way, because, you know, she's been raised by Hordak, and then when she finds out who she truly is and finally becomes She-Ra, then she's in this stuck between two worlds thing, and she uses that to her advantage for a while, as far as like being a spy, basically, too. And, you know, it has a little bit more, you know, a little bit more character driven stuff to it than He-Man did, because He-Man's really just a vessel of sorts in a way.
Well,
for
He-Man is a society where it's two powers kind of fighting over for the planet, where She-Ra is basically a rebellion going against a tyrannical empire.
Yes.
So it's more underdog on her part, where the other one is more like a very careful balancing act. And I think I like that dichotomy, because again, they were inspired a little bit with regards to She-Ra a little bit by Return of the Jedi. I mean, like I've read some of the parts of that. We're like, oh yeah, we got a rebellion.
Clearly,
the twin we never heard of before.
Yeah. Clearly a Star Wars influence on She-Ra, especially when you look at a lot of the designs of the Horde stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I like the Horde. It's a great bad guy, because it also sets you up, if this is, you know, popular and you're looking at sequels, you have something to build towards, right? Because yeah, Skeletor's bad, but just wait till you meet Hordak, because he even, you know, him and Skeletor don't even get along. That's how bad he is, you know, kind of thing.
Skeletor helped him steal the kids and failed. And
and depending on which version you go by, that was kind of one of the things that came between them too, in a way. So it's like, yeah.
Like, I want the daughter. No, I do.
And well, he just wants power, and Hordak wants everything. Like, that's the difference. See, Skeletor just wanted the power of Grayskull and wanted to rule Eternia. Hordak's like going to destroy everything, kind of thing. So he's like a plague. But anyway, Jesus Davila says, saw Sound of Freedom last night, felt heavy, as many have said. They don't show anything graphic. That's true. It's done subtly, very powerful message. Everyone in the theater clapped at the end. Oh, wow. I hope it was a full showing. I've been hearing a lot of people getting into some sold out shows, but still some people having some issues. I don't know if we're going to talk more about that in another video, but I got to imagine there's got to be another video on the horizon here pretty soon, because this is heating up and not going away. And somebody has their car alarm going off outside, very annoyingly. Ryan Benoit says, I was born in 77 and grew up playing with Motu. I'd love to try and write a script, but I've never written a script. I'd love some pointers on the whole process if possible. Well, there's plenty of resources out there, one of them being Script Doctor here. Mm-hmm. He has a Patreon, and there's books and other ways you can learn about it. But what's your suggestion, Script, since you are one?
First point would be seek out publicly available screenplays. Learn the format, not just the structure of where you put words on the page, but also you'll see a better breakdown of how story structure works by reading those scripts. And start from there, seek out advice. And again, if you are so inclined, I do have a Patreon, and the base tier member, which has a number of articles about writing, has a 7-day free trial. So you can sign up for that for 7 days, take a look. And if it's to your liking, you can commit. And if it's not, no problem, no harm, no foul. But hopefully it gets you in the right direction.
Yeah, there you go. So check out Script Doctor's Patreon right there. And then moving on from there, we have, let's see here. We have.
Sorry, I was just making sure it wasn't my car. I knew it wasn't, but you never know. Kitty could have stepped on my keys or some shit, and then I've been like, "Oh, that is my car." No.
And then Mags says for $2, culture is my Ken. Culture Ken Casino.
Yeah, we need a bearded Ken with long hair. That'd be awesome.
Hey, I am when I go see this movie later today, I'm wearing a pink shirt. I'm not kidding. I'm going to try to get white shorts on, white tennis shoes, and rock the white visor.
You're going to look so gay.
I know.
I want pictures.
Okay.
You're going to look like a gay hippie.
They're not people, they're hippies.
You're mean.
I am. Planner Aspect says the cartoon is why Slimer wasn't in Afterlife. Is it?
Wait, Onion Head is lost the rights to Onion Head to the cartoon?
Huh? Or is he... I know they were doing an animated Slimer movie that got canned. But was Slimer... I'm trying to remember. Yeah, Slimer wasn't in Afterlife, was he?
No. I mean, he wasn't really needed in Afterlife either,
No.
so. But he was in the 2016.
Yeah. I have a feeling he's going to be in this new one.
Yeah,
because they weren't in New York. Yeah, I was going to say because they weren't in New York in the first one. Yeah. Or well,
they were in the 2016 movie. Yeah, he and Miss Slimer.
Yeah.
Setting off for their own spin-off that never happened.
No, I have a feeling Slimer's going to show up in the new one. I really do. Because they're going to be...
It would be kind of funny if Slimer works in Winston's accounting office.
Well, I have a feeling he's going to be at the firehouse.
Firehouse, yeah.
He's going to have replanted himself at the firehouse. Exactly. Yeah.
Like he's never left, actually.
He never left. And not since the second movie, he decided this is where he wants to stay. And they'll probably even have like he wants to help us out. Like crap like that.
He just wants food.
He wants food. Yeah, he works cheap. And then he eats them out of house and home. But yeah. No, I think you can work with it. You can do a live action version and still make it in the same spirit as the one in the cartoon, but not make it that kitty.
Yeah.
I think it could work. They kind of nailed that pretty well. That was probably some of the better stuff in Ghostbusters 2 was the Lewis and Slimer stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That was my favorite. Okay, well, I didn't know you had your license.
How did you get a hold of this bus?
That's still my favorite scene.
And he's making a stop. That's even better.
I know, right? Oh, it's you. Mexican Iron Man sends in a member chat at a Karam level. You sent this in after Chato was gone, brother. What the hell? Are you behind? He might be behind. Chato, I officially request another Tom Connor's nuclear meltdown impersonation, please. Well, we'll work on that. We'll get him to do some meltdowns.
We'll have to have a meltdown over Oppenheimer and everything. Yeah.
I think that's possible.
I'm going to have a meltdown over Barbie. Wait for that.
I know you will. Oh, look, I honestly hope I'm right for your sake, Culture, just so you can come out and say, look, I had fun, or whatever. I don't want people to,
I look, if I am wrong about this film, I want to be wrong. I don't think anybody gets that.
I know you do, and that's what I'm saying. I know you don't generally hope this is a bad movie, but
no, because all the ladies that I have teased for the last 2 weeks, I still want them to have a good time at the film, right? And I mean, we share the screen with these people. We talk to them all the time, and that's just. You know what? I had a random thought, Tom. I had a random thought. I want you to petition to do a standalone Snarf series. Snarf from Thundercats.
Snarf.
Yeah, because I think you could voice it. I think it'd be great. I want that.
I was never the biggest Thundercats fan. They're all right.
Yeah, but you could do the character
potentially.
I think Snarf would be like
Snarf was not a good character though.
What's Snarf's background story? See, I think that's what we need.
I don't think anybody cares. It's like Batmite.
Come on,
he wants to see that shit.
Sell some Snarf stories. Snarf.
Orko was like the pinnacle of sidekicks. You couldn't get any better or any worse than Orko.
I take that. Well, I would say that Orko is only the second best Orko. The best Orko of all was the side character in Jason the Wheel Warriors. I forget his name right now, but he was the best Orko.
Well, he's like proto Orko anyway, right?
I don't know that he's not proto Orko. He came
Or did
later,
Jace come after? Okay, yeah, Jace came after.
Jace came after, but I would say like because all of those things they all had an Orko. I mean, Snarf is an Orko, right? But the best of the Orkos was whatever that little robot knight was in Jason the Wheel Warriors.
Orko was such a thing.
Tell me I'm wrong.
Orko was such a thing that even when they made Punky Brewster the animated series, they gave her a frickin' Orko. Like everything got an Orko if it got a series. Like it really starts with what is it, Grand Kazoo or whatever the heck his name is with on the Flintstones. I would say that, or actually you probably got to go back to Popeye.
Kazoo? Yeah, I was going to say Popeye. And
yeah, you got to go back to Popeye to the what the hell is it called? I just forgot the name of it.
That thing in Popeye.
Oh, damn it!
Marvin the Martian.
No, Marvin the Martian's an actual character. We're talking about like these like annoying little sidekick guys.
Thing back in
Pee-wee? You're thinking Pee-wee?
Peavy, that's it. The Jeep. Actually. Jeep. The Jeep.
Oh. Jeep.
Yeah. That was
Jeep.
from Popeye.
Jeep.
I think he was the first Orko.
Probably. They can either be imaginary and or visual, but they're just an annoying little sidekick that really doesn't add anything to the story. But Orko eventually did become important. So like that, you can work with these characters at the same time. But anyway, Pilgrim Media says, have you heard about Demon Core per Los Alamos? I'm not familiar.
Yes, that's the core to the third of the nuclear bombs they're going to drop on Japan, but Japan surrendered after the second, I think.
Ooh, the more you know.
And instead, that core went and it did havoc right there in the United States.
Mm-hmm. And from Jace, it was OON. Or OON.
I hope a lot of attention is bent on that because that's such a fascinating story. I mean, you could do your Oppenheimer sequel with a demon core. So I sincerely hope a lot of attention is devoted to it because it's pretty awesome.
And I apologize. It's a great kazoo. Yes, sorry. Yes, not the grand kazoo. Let's see here. We've got Splice Stream, who says Bambi Modern Remake. Hunter will be Kyle Rittenhouse. Oh, you're probably right. His name will be Kyle. Watch, yeah. You'll get this whole story about his whole thing is like, I'm going to kill some deer's mom. Carnell says, remember, gentlemen, 15 years ago, The Dark Knight and Mamma Mia were released the same day. Dark Mama walked so Barbenheimer could run. Yeah, I mean, well, there was a time when 2 or 3 big movies used to be able to come out at the same time, and both would be big blockbuster hits. But that was also a time when they didn't drag movies out of the theater right away, and they didn't release as many films. I'm even willing to bet that, even though that's not that long ago, they probably released more movies in the last few years than they did in that era of The Dark Knight. They probably even amped it up even more than that. Robert says Jane Seymour is the stepmother in Snow White. A little old maybe, but Marksman 117B says the difference in beauty feels too big between women, I think is what he's trying to say. And that's kind of what I was getting at, yeah. Master of Trek says, so Goldsman said new Trek is its own universe canon. Not surprised. Victory lap for Midnight's Edge, as we all told everyone, and we're called liars. Yeah. Also, new Trek is basically the new timeline. We got a name for it now.
What, new Trek? Is that it?
Evidently.
Well, that's not very evidently. I mean, we're not very...
Can we call it Nouveau Trek just because it sounds nouveau riche?
I mean, we've been calling it like that since day one.
It's Neo Trek.
Neo Trek, yeah, there you go.
Just like another Neo. That sounds horrible.
Still sounds too good for Trek.
Well, any title we come up with that, or any moniker we come up with Trek is going to be way too good for this version of Trek.
Negative Trek.
Negative Trek.
Keep trying to tell people Kurtzman ain't going anywhere.
Not true.
He's going to be around a lot longer than Kathleen Kennedy. Think about that for a minute.
Yeah.
Good.
He
Well,
already
has.
has. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
He has
He
been
ain't going no
around
place. Yeah. What's your first thought? Says, even if the news was true, has Disney proven that they can bring back an old property and do it right?
Never.
I think he's referring to the, I think this is the Gargoyles stuff, but no. But Branagh is somebody you can kind of trust, right? Like for every one batshit crazy thing he does 10 good things. So, like, you got that going for you. And
Well,
Thor 1 was pretty fucking solid.
Right. Yeah. The second one was dog shit, but
Well, he wasn't involved with that, so.
No, I know. It's like you there was a glaring,
Distinct.
obvious difference. Yeah, a steep decline. I think you can trust a few people in Hollywood. I think Branagh's one of them. You can. Reitman's kid you can trust too. So, but yeah.
Well, yeah.
We'll see.
I didn't like Juno. Fucking hated Juno.
Well, that's Diablo Cody. I mean,
I know, but he
for
directed
smoking
it.
is way better than.
I know, that's an amazing fucking film. That reminds me. I wonder if that's on Blu-ray. I have not seen that in a few years. That's a great fucking movie. Kareen, maybe it'll get me quit smoking off for good because I'm getting close. Kareen says, yeah, the trailer for the third movie, Murder on the Orient Express, is done well. It looks like a scary movie. I was fooled until the end too. I know. I was like, what the hell? I didn't even know it was. I was just like, whoa, here it is. Okay. Yeah. And then we got King Zing Sting, who says, didn't Jordan Peele already ask for Gargoyles and was denied by Disney? I don't know. I didn't hear about this.
This is news for me. I don't recall this.
I don't know if I'd want him anywhere near it, though.
No. Again, another activist.
Yeah.
And the last thing, I mean, for the Gargoyles, you need a Kevin Branagh. You need someone that loves your classic storytelling, that loves your Shakespearean stories, just wants to do that. Rather than even activist.
Yeah, I can see that because even if Branagh's never been a fan of the series, which I highly doubt he ever has watched it, he's like a Nicholas Meyer in that sense, where it's in his vein to be able to go, oh, okay, I get this. I can do this with this.
Yeah.
Right. Like, that kind of a thing. Yeah.
No, like it draws from a similar things that he's a fan of, and that's where your base foundation is built. And yeah, there's nothing to say, oh, okay, so it plays with Shakespeare characters from Arthurian legend and British lore, plays in with Shakespeare. I love these things. I know these things. Okay, I see what they're doing here. When he gets involved in the research for it, he's going to, put it all together, and he's going to realize, oh, I know exactly how to interpret this for live action. Now, that being said, Disney has had a big power trip over the directors for quite a while. I can see those two butting heads a lot if Disney actually cared enough about this property to try and make it whatever they wanted to make. And if Branagh says, well, that's not in line with what the best value you can get out of this, I think those two could have a parting ways on that project if hypothetically that were the case.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we've got one more super chat here from Dr. Coffin Nails, who says, I thought Skeletor was He-Man's uncle. Yes, in that 2000 series, that is the canon.
Because it was Randor and Kaldor, right?
Yep, they're half brothers. Yep. Like I said, basically like a Thor and Loki thing, yeah. Only they were actually blood half brothers, I believe.
Well, yeah, same father, different mothers.
Yes. And then Kaldor actually got deformed because he was gonna kill.
He almost
can't remember who it was.
Randor
or Man at Arms, I think.
He
one
was
of the two.
On the brink of death, and Hordak gave him like the means to live.
He was, however, always blue though before then, because again, Randor is the father, and like the Shakespearean aspect of it. This is why you could have Kenneth Branagh do He-Man as well to bring this up. Is that Kaldor apparently, if my memory is correct, is the elder sibling, but he's the half.
Yes,
he is not the legitimate. He's the bastard son of the king. And the king's concubine, Gar being the blue people, the minority.
GAR, yeah.
Yeah. So basically, like he's Kaldor is he feels he is
For
owed
instance,
the king because he's half
Trap
black.
Jaw would be Gar.
Yes, exactly. Trap Jaw is
Anybody
a
who
Gar.
has blue body or blue skin or whatever would be a Gar usually in the He-Man
the
universe.
native population in a sense, and the minority.
So yeah, there's even stuff you could do with that. I mean,
You can work with that. I mean, there's a ton to work with, and it's right there. And it's unbelievable. No, it's not unbelievable. It's frustrating. It's frustrating that these schools don't see what they have to work with here and how easily it could be done. I mean, if we were to sit together with Script Doctor, we could hammer out an outline in a weekend for how this was supposed to be for a whole trilogy.
Oh,
Easy.
Yeah, easy. And a prequel series, mind you. I actually got a prequel series in my head called Eternia, where it's literally about Randor's father and his father, and their whole thing, and Hero, the original He-Man. Yeah.
Or you could call it the Sons of Miro, because that's what they are, the Sons of King Miro.
Or you could call it that too, or whatever. Yeah, that works too. And yeah, literally, it's all about young, and then you lead it up to the young versions of those characters. Yeah.
And then you could do a prequel miniseries
and all that stuff
on King Grayskull and the initial incursion of the Snake Man and Hordak and everything like that, tying that into the current events in the future.
Because there's also the Snake Men. We haven't even talked about the Snake Men. That's another group of bad guys. Yeah, that Skeletor took Snake Mountain from. Yeah,
exactly. I mean, it is. Many people don't give it the respect because it's based on a comic, but there is such a rich mythology there. Doesn't matter where it came from. There is a rich mythology, and Hollywood is just botching it. And I'm glad that it's not with Netflix, because I don't trust them to do it right. I'm not sure that I even trust Mattel to do it right at this point.
And that's the thing is, I know how to sell it to these guys too. You just did it basically. It's like, look, you've got 3 sets of trilogies here, and you've got a prequel, if not 2 prequel series.
Yeah.
And if you can get She-Ra back in the mix, you got a 3rd possibility and a spin-off here. Yeah. If you can do this right. If you do it right. And that's if you listen to guys like Andre and I who actually give a shit, and somebody like Script who could structure it in a way that works. Because basically your first trilogy is, the battle between He-Man and Skeletor for Eternia. And then the bigger problem is Hordak and the Snake Men. Those are 2 separate trilogies right there.
Well, not trilogies. They're entries into
or at least movies. Story. Yeah, at least movies. Yeah. So there you go. And then the Hordak thing spins off into She-Ra, which is her own movie then. It's built for a multiverse or whatever you want to call it, or a shared universe.
It's built
shared
for
universe,
yeah. Yeah, it's own universe, yeah.
Oh, it's,
Christ, you could even have an animated Orko prequel series.
That's going a bit too far.
Yeah, I don't care. You still could do it. You could still do it, and it could be interesting and funny, because it'd be all about Orko back on Trala.
That's the animated series for
That's what I just said. Animated. Yes. That's what I just said.
Right, then I agree.
Yeah, I mean, you could definitely end the entire thing with basically the Etheria becoming free, and Adora can be like, "I'm going to go home to Eternia and get to know my parents," and then boom, there's your happy.
Well, there's your other trilogy right there, because you got a She-Ra trilogy then.
Yeah, that
ends with that.
The She-Ra story. Yeah, that's how you.
Because He-Man just goes over to that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because once he saves Eternia, then he can concentrate on that. Exactly.
But moving on here.
We're done. That's it.
All right.
We're out. We're done.
Ooh.
Thank you so much, guys. Check out Paul's channel, of course, Mr. Chato. He's always doing interesting work over there. Culture's always doing interesting work as well, but he's muted right now.
I am. Today's video is cool. The first one, Grant actually had my face changing into various actors like Tom Cruise and Keanu Reeves and a whole lot of other people for my Haunted Mansion review. Or I mean, not review, but my story about their ridiculous red carpet event. It's wild. So that was fun. But no, I'm just doing fun stuff. So yeah, and late tonight, early tomorrow morning, you can see my Barbie review and enjoy my punishment. I'll probably still be wearing the pink shirt if I don't rip it to pieces. So we'll see.
I can't wait for your review. That should be fun. And of course, the ladies of toxic femininity, every last one of which you should follow.
Yeah. And maybe I'll work out something where we can do like a special review Thursday night. Because normally we do Mead. on
Oh,
Thursday,
that'd be-
but I'm going to go see the movie. Hopefully, get back here around roughly the same time.
We need to have
Maybe-
the ladies with her. We need to have Max. We need to have Nina. We need to have
Yeah,
all
that's what I'm
that
thinking. I'm
come
going to
there as
try
well.
and work something out earlier in the evening to maybe, if everybody gets a chance to see it early enough, we'll figure it out. And if not, maybe we'll try to bring everybody on Friday morning and get their opinions.
Yeah.
Mecha J says He-Man deserves better. Yes, he does. And it can be a viable series if they do it right, is what we're arguing here.
Yes.
If anybody out there from Mattel is listening.
Well, the people at Mattel, they already know, because there's like the thing, Ynon Kreis, the CEO of Mattel, he is not going to our level of detail, but he sees the potential. He sees that here, like, this is the next Marvel and stuff. You just need some production partner to go see it, but he needs to do a better job at pitching it.
All right. Script Doctor, you already talked a little bit about your Patreon, but go ahead and shell it some more if you will.
Yeah, so on my Patreon, I write articles and review screenplays for people who are interested in the writing process and all that stuff. So yes, I'm currently working on some ideas right now for some other articles. I already have a video on there between myself and Robert Meyer Burnett talking Mission Impossible and a slew of other films with regards to the model of passing the torch and the variations that they have. So go check that out there. And yeah, I also have a Twitter at Script Doctor PhD, where I make comments on industry and things of that nature, as well as retweeting where I'll be. In fact, I think in an hour from now, I'll be over on Scribe Light's channel to talk a little bit of the industry strikes that are happening currently.
Tell them I said hey.
I will, absolutely. And so yeah, just follow me on Twitter to see when that's going live. So it should be in an hour or so. And yeah, I also have a YouTube channel myself where yesterday I went live and went through all of the proposals that SAG made to the AMPTP. So you can check out that and my thoughts there. Still mulling that over. I might have a change of opinions in some parts, but overall, it's fairly good coverage, and I don't see anything that the actors asked for that seems unreasonable. At least from my perspective. But if someone can point out unreasonable aspects, please let me know, because I'd love to get that point of view.
Alrighty then. I will probably be doing physical media later, but I don't know if we're going to be doing 4K for you. We kind of covered the main news, which is Elf. And I do have an update on that. I guess I could just do that now. For those who are curious what the edited for content meant, I guess there's just one episode and one episode only, Andre, that is affected by this.
Okay.
And I do remember this when it happened back in the day. This actually, they changed it. It only aired once. And that was during the Try to Remember Elf episode, where he in the original version, he got electrocuted in the bathroom. They changed that to him just bumping his head after that because they were afraid kids would try electrocuting themselves. So I guess they were evidently unable to get the original version of it, and or I'm sure Fusco doesn't want that version out or something like that, to that effect. So that's the only one I guess is as we have to worry about for content anyway.
Okay, well, it could have been worse.
So otherwise, it's supposed to be the full versions, and I don't even know if the version you'll have to check your version if you have the other set and see if that's the. Because I think they changed it from the source, is what I'm saying. Kind of like how the Beavis and Butthead episodes where Mike Judges said, well, we may have a hard time getting some of that original stuff together from the original because it might be gone. But I mean, of course, people have saved it on video, but like as far as remastering. But anyway, moving on from there. Thank you so much, guys. I'll try to let you know for sure, but I highly doubt we'll have a 4K for you today. I think we're going to take the week off. But we'll be back next week, and I'll see you guys later on Fanzine's channel. That's what I'll be doing later, and I'm sure Andre's definitely got some plans for us the next few days for videos, so stay tuned for that.
Yeah, I'm working on for their own videos right here, so yeah, just stay tuned, and they will soon be forthcoming.
All righty then. Take care of yourselves and each other. And what time is it now, Andre?
It is time for some koalas in the rain.
Koalas in the rain. Koalas